This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Thursday, and Smokey just knocked down my freaking curtain. And Socks is over here inspecting it. Totally just happened, like right as I was coming on. I'm like, well, damn it, cat. I'm not gonna have time to fix that. Thank you, buddy. Lenny, good evening. Cicero, clinically, welcome in. I'm not high enough for this shit. I have no idea what you mean by conclave raw dogging. I need to get more weed too. I've got like one bowl left. Go to the weed store tomorrow. This is not that bowl. I'm saving the bowl to smoke after the stream. Meat cakes, welcome in. Yeah, but do you have to dry them? You say plants. Do you have to cut them and dry them and everything? Because that's a process. That takes about 2 weeks. No. Apparently you weren't here for the rant I went on where like people send me fucking clips all the time. No. I don't know what it is. Why does everybody want to send me shit? No. I provide the clips here. Not high enough for this shit. Yeah, but still, like, if they're still in plant form you mean of the process, you've already got some, okay, they're full of dried buds. Okay, I'm feeling you. Just everybody always sending me clips. I am glad I almost went off on somebody because they sent me a fucking clip as I was preparing the show. I almost went off on them like, why are you sending me bullshit? But a dude roundhouse kicked a cop and I'm like, all right, I definitely wanted to see that. You have clout now because you sent me that clip and I enjoyed it. I will not fly off the handle. Dude, roundhouse kicked the cop. I'm like, all right. That was worth watching. My issue is most of the time people send me clips and they're not worth watching. Sorry, most people just have really bad taste.
Chance of winning, and then add 66 and 2/3%. I got 140.
Are you asking about the video I've already played? Don't miss the show. Yes, I do. Meth raccoon. We totally played that last night. Of course I did. That's what multiple people sent that to me. And I'm like, you do not have to send me this shit. I assure you. I find these stories, and I find way more of them. Sorry, Cicero. Don't mean to be busting on you tonight. Curiouser, welcome in. Apparently, Curiouser's gonna come clean my bong out for me. No, don't see yourself out. I'm sorry. See, I always come off like an ass, so I don't know how to tell people like in a nice way. You don't have to send me news stories. I find them. They find me, I assure you. First holy decree from the new American Pope will be to change, I don't even know how to say that word, Eucharist? 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 The cracker and wine to Cheez-Its and Mad Dog 2020. Eucharist? It sounds like something they do to a little altar boy. They Eucharist them. What? I ain't drank no Mad Dog 2020 since I was 20. Meat cakes, did I tell you good evening? I saw somebody say that he was a registered Republican. I saw somebody else say that he's like more in the Francis vein. I saw other people say that I forgot the point I was making. I don't even give a shit. The Pope don't matter to me. I saw other right-wingers that were upset about it, so I don't know. Julie, T-. Apparently he has tweeted out multiple things spitting in the face of the Trump administration, so he can't be all bad. But if he's in a position to be the Pope, he's probably a gigantic piece of shit. He's probably at least had some hand in covering up child sexual abuse. JD Sussy needs to pay a visit. Did you see where JD Vance's... I did not put this on the list. I should have. JD Vance's brother was running in a primary to be, was it mayor of Cincinnati or something? And JD Vance like tweeted out like, oh, go support my brother. His brother bombed. It was not anywhere near the most important stories because we got a lot of news to get to tonight. If I ran it down, or are we just gonna let it be a surprise again? I haven't ran down the news at the top of the show the last couple of nights because I wasn't prepared the last couple of nights. I'm actually prepared tonight. Here's Smokey. Hey, Bubby. He just knocked down my curtain. He's proud of himself. Do I have any Bad Company fans in the chat? Bad Company. What's his name? Brian? No, that was the other one. Roger. I wanted to say Roger Waters. Fucking, what is his name? Roger, no, he did something cool. You guys will like it. Roger, Paul Rogers. Paul Rogers, the former lead singer of Bad Company, teamed up with another musician. I forget who it was. They went and re-recorded the song Rock and Roll Fantasy with some elementary school kids. So really neat. I think it's like all the proceeds going to charity. I got wild video of a 21-year-old pilot landing a plane on a golf course. Video of a road rage suspect has gone viral. Parents are demanding action in Washington State after a kid hurled racial slurs at another kid. What? Last night we watched a dude take his belt off and whip the shit out of somebody at a Pirates game. I didn't realize about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we played a video of a fan falling from the stands in at a baseball game. It was a Pirates game. What in the fuck is going on in Pittsburgh? We've got new video of that fall. A Georgia man was arrested for kidnapping. Video proves he didn't do it. He's been freed on bond. some dumbass prosecutor apparently recreated. It could have been like a private investigator or something. I don't want to put it all on the prosecution. But somebody stupid did an AI recreation of a murder victim, and apparently the murder victim confronted the suspect in the courtroom. Dystopian. A teenager has been shot and killed, a man charged with murder after teens were playing Ding Dong Ditch. We got video of a DoorDash driver being shot. New video of a Newport Beach police shooting. Our favorite senator, at least my favorite senator.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Senator John Kennedy gets tough with Kash Patel. Asked him point blank, who killed Jeffrey Epstein? Yeah, they recreated the murder victim using AI and some dystopian bullshit. Tim Kaine confronts Kash Patel about accusing the left of lying. I think it's Kash Patel. It might have been Christina. I don't know who it was. It's someone hearing. I said I was prepared, too. Anna Paulina Luna, who can be my GOP mommy, leading a bipartisan trip to El Salvador. Trump is pulling the nomination of Ed Martin, a man who praised a literal Nazi. Word on the street is his new nominee is going to be Judge Janine. This is for the D.C. U.S. Attorney's spot. Not once, not twice, 3 times. I saw the headline and was like, there's no fucking way this has happened again. This has to be the story about the one that happened yesterday. No. 3rd time. For a 3rd time, the Navy has dumped a $70 million fighter jet into the 3 times. The Navy has now lost 3 $70 million fighter jets into the Red Sea within a week. Let me repeat that again. The Navy has dumped 3 fighter jets into the Red Sea by accident over the last week. And what happens when it's one gorilla versus one Robin Williams? The answer is it's pretty fucking wholesome. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening, Byronic. Whoopsie. I've literally never been prepared. Possibly. I'm more prepared tonight than I have been the last couple of nights. I'll go ahead and throw that out. I wonder if the new Pope was prepared. Was he prepared for what happened to him today? His name is Pope Leo. Flo, welcome in. Pope Leo. What kind? When I hear Leo, I think of Jerry's uncle from Seinfeld. Pope Leo.
Finn Gomez joins me here at the desk. Willie James Inman on the North Lawn of the White House. Finn, let me start with you. Sure. Do you consider this event of this afternoon, Pope Leo XIV, in any way a political event in America?
I think so, and I think you can characterize it that way. Look, as you stated, We don't know what happens behind closed doors in the conclave, obviously, but
probably raping kids. Just saying. We don't know what happens behind closed doors, but if it's Catholics, good chance they're raping kids.
It's the biggest American voice. You can do that. That's emanating from the White House. You can do that with naming the first American pope, right? There have been 266 popes. Now 267, and this is the first American pope.
Meaning if it had been someone who was a Francis successor, meaning the same continuity, but from Africa or from South America, it might have played differently and been regarded differently within the confines of the Trump White House.
Exactly. I think the impact is larger on some of the main issues that are emanating from the White House that his predecessor, Pope Francis, also...
Do you think that they really took the White House into consideration when they were choosing the Pope?
Contrasted against immigration. Big, huge issue. We saw that. We saw that in tweets and posts from Pope Leo XIV when he was a cardinal. You know, that were contrasting against some against
not
some
original ones, but retweets.
Retweets against like some of the comments made by J.D. Vance, and in particular that theological concept that you're talking about, ordo amoris, or order of love. Like essentially, how do you rank your order of love, starting with like those closest to you first, and then externally, and essentially, conceptually, it goes against some of what the St. Augustine order believes in, which is where he comes from. So this contrast, and really in particular to immigration. Therefore, when you have these large contrasting messages, one emanating from the White House.
Yeah, but MAGA people get pissed off about any little thing.
I think it does change the tenor on a global
biggest babies on the planet.
And the president, very enthusiastic social media posts, welcoming, celebrating, etc.
Yeah.
Willie James Inman on the North Lawn of the White House today was also a conversation in which the White House could be at least nominally specific about a deal and trade. Let us know what happened.
What? This story was supposed to be about the Pope. They transitioned to trade deals. 8-minute fucking story about the Pope was only 2 minutes about the Pope. Let's get Trump's reaction.
Such an honor for our country. Watch out, sir. Such a great honor for our country. Hey, watch out. What greater honor.
They keep blocking the reporter's shot.
We're a little bit surprised, very happy. It's just absolutely great honor. Is this the first of
Is it an honor?
many trade agreements we can expect you to announce here at the White House?
And then his comments about the Pope, they transitioned to trade deals. Well, since that's what everybody wants to talk about, I guess, let's talk about the trade deals that I don't know exists. Have we heard from Downing Street yet? Has Downing Street announced that there's a trade deal? Because until I hear it from, like, Keir Starmer's mouth, I don't believe Trump.
We are watching Wall Street, where stocks jumped as President Donald Trump unveiled a trade deal with the UK. So the Dow up about 250 points. Nothing was signed, but Trump says the final details are being written up. It marks the first major agreement since Trump slapped tariffs on nearly all U.S. trade partners. All right, so let's take a look at our interactive stock market heat map. This is brought to you by FinViz, showing the top 500 stocks. As you can see, there's a lot of green on the board after that announcement. So let's bring in CBS News contributor JD.
Okay, Stormer has confirmed
Stock
it.
Exchange. Hi, JD. Let's walk through the reaction on the markets today.
White smoke at the Vatican does not, in fact, mean a new trade deal necessarily, but perhaps for a busy news cycle like today, it might as well have been one in the same. We did get this highly anticipated announcement from the White House, of course, with regards to UK, a specific focus on steel, aluminum, auto exports as well. So we did see the markets pop nicely earlier into the session, but it is, of course, worth noting here into the close at 4 o'clock here on the East Coast. We did see a fair bit of selling, so we gave back a lot of those gains. To your point, the major market indexes finishing up in positive territory, and we saw small cap stocks, which we count in the Russell 2000, really leading the way, which tells analysts we had a bit of rotation happening earlier today. A little bit more context on that UK deal, it is worth noting the United Kingdom is a country with whom we have a trade surplus with. In other words, we do not have a trade deficit. So if you're looking at the stock market today and wondering why, after finally getting a highly anticipated trade deal, we did not see more of a reaction, I would argue it's likely because Wall Street sort of already had this type of deal baked in. The question is for the vast majority of countries with whom we do not have that particular type of trade balance. But it's worth noting, otherwise on Wall Street, all 7 of the so-called Magnificent 7 tech companies finishing up into the...
Oh, great.
Those shares were led by names like Tesla, Amazon, and Google. We saw 8 of the 12 sectors of the S&P 500 finishing up in positive territory. And today on Wall Street makes 11 of the last 13 sessions. We've had green on the big board.
All right, here's
green on the big board.
About fast food chains.
Sounds like light one up, tip one back.
Food chains are actually losing customers. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, declining same-store sales for Popeyes, for Burger King, for Tim Hortons. These are some of the biggest companies under Restaurant Brands International. And it's been a bit of a tough year for a lot of the fast food companies. I would argue what we heard out of the earnings call earlier today is really a continuation of what we've heard from fast food giants like McDonald's. They cite some weather patterns.
Oh, Julie, I didn't notice the change bandana color. Did you pick a color?
Is the portrait of a consumer facing a little bit more distress than has faced in previous years, and maybe choosing to be a bit more choosy, if you will, pulling back on some of that discretionary income. We did see shares of Restaurant Brands International down only about 0.5% today, despite all of that downward pressure. And
yeah, just saw you change bandana color. Did you pick a bandana color?
Okay, so finally, JD, Toyota says tariffs are going to take a bite out of profits. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, of course, this is a Japanese-owned company. It's got huge exposure to the United States, and this was the type of automaker that analysts had been circling now for many months to say, keep your eye on a company like Toyota, because we will watch very carefully what the impact of the White House's tariff policy will be, despite the fact...
You know, I don't know that I've seen my white one lately, but let me see if I can find it.
Listing right here at the New York Stock Exchange, and it is Japanese-owned. The company still managed to sell more than 2 million cars in the U.S. last year, and so there are concerns that the sort of tit-for-tat or unpredictable path forward for tariffs are really going to hurt sales and ultimately hurt profits for the company. A weakening U.S. dollar is one of the other big stories. We are seeing the dollar down about 7%.
I was wrong. I had it. It's right there.
It's really difficult on a company like Toyota when they make those U.S. profits to convert that money back to the Japanese yen. That money becomes worth a little bit less every time the strength of the dollar goes down. Shares of Toyota also finished down 0.5% today and are down about 2.5% from January 1st.
JD Durkin, as always, thank you so much.
JD Durkin over here. Thank you so much. Why am I like this? JD Durkin? I'm a 40-year-old man. That was the joke a fucking 8th grader would make. People have paid me to do comedy. Well, did you laugh at JD Durkin? Why am I still laughing at it? Oh, God. I had a flashback to where I was like 13 years old. That was I think I was above those jokes when I was 13, actually. Some of you may, anonymously, some of you may have heard me say this before, but like, I was a really uptight youngin'. I wore slacks and polos, and I was president of the Young Republicans in high school. I probably would have thought I was above a JD Durkin joke when I was that age. Ask Battle Opossum when he comes in here. And ooh, you guys should have seen Battle Opossum in high school. He wore tight jean nut huggers and like these country western kind of shirts. He'd tuck in. He had a big belt buckle. Ah. I like your personal philosophy, Byronic. Is Trump a commie? Perhaps the MAGA communism people, are they like cheering? Maybe they were right all along. Trump, apparently, the last person I would have ever thought that I would hear a proposal like this from, is apparently going to raise taxes on the rich.
Well, according to our reporting, Alex, the president actually made this request directly to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, yesterday, that the upper tax bracket, which currently stands at a high of 37%, be raised to a tax rate for those making $2.5 million for a single person or $5 million for a couple to 39.6%. This is something that could be a hard swallow for the Speaker, who is previously...
That's back where it was like under Clinton, I think.
...not stand for any tax hikes of any kind. Instead, what they're pursuing, of course, is tax cuts. But what the White House is looking to do here is to raise money to pay for the tax cuts they'd like to see elsewhere. Keeping in mind, the president has made a litany of promises on taxes during his campaign and since, not only to extend his 2017 tax cuts, but also to implement new cuts so that there's no taxes on things like Social Security and overtime, for example. He wants to have tax breaks as well.
Hey, I don't think there's anything that Trump has done, maybe that criminal justice reform bill in his first administration, that I could actually point to and say that he did a good job on. If he raises taxes back to, I think that's the Clinton rates of the 90s, and does away with taxes on tips and Social Security, I'll at least say he did that right. That's cool.
Well, for interest on things like auto loans, all of that could add up to a price tag of well over $4 trillion, and there's going to need to be offsets to pay for that, keeping in mind that, of course, there's also the spending cuts part of this conversation that the House is really struggling with right now, in particular when it comes to Medicaid, which is where a lot of those savings were intended to be found, more than $800 billion worth, but that is something that is highly politically sensitive. So it's not clear whether or not this could actually fully work its way into the budget reconciliation that is currently underway on Capitol Hill, but 39.6% is the high end of the rate the president and the White House are looking for here. And it's not just that. He also, according to our reporting, reiterated to the Speaker his desire to eliminate the carried interest tax break. That, of course, is something that venture capital and private equity care very much about, and that is something that also could be hard to swallow here, as these committees that are really going to deal with this, the House Ways and Means Committee as well as the House Energy and Commerce Committee, are looking to mark up their parts of this legislation that would, in theory, contain these policies on Tuesday next week.
I just kind of a wild thing to happen, but you know, our government might need some money because we keep doing things like dumping $70 million fighter jets into the Red Sea, because it's happened a third time. A third time.
In developing news, the Pentagon loses another $70 million fighter jet in the Red Sea. Happened as the fight against Iranian-linked militants heats up. Fox's Greg Palcott reports.
The U.S. military suffered another loss as it confronts Iran.
3 in a week. 3 in a week. Like, 3 is a lot. 3 for it to have happened in the last 6 months in 2025. That's a lot. It's 3 in a week.
Against Iranian-linked militants heats up. Fox's Greg Palcott reports.
I'm stunned.
Suffered another loss as it confronts Iran's proxy groups in the Mideast. An F-18 fighter jet failed to complete a landing on the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier and fell into the sea, the third plane lost by the Truman during this deployment. It came just hours after Israeli airstrikes crippled the main international airport under the control of Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen.
I bet those were like civilian planes.
How to respond and on what targets to respond.
But the American mission could soon be coming to an end. President Trump announced Tuesday the Houthis have agreed to end their attacks on U.S. shipping after just over a month of daily U.S. airstrikes. The Houthis say they'll continue targeting Israel, but the White House claims it was never trying to stop those attacks.
This has always been about freedom of navigation. That the problem was they were striking hundreds of ships in the Red Sea, stopping the ability for ships to have that waterway.
Israeli officials say they weren't informed of the Houthi ceasefire before President Trump announced it. And they could also be out of the loop on a big new deal President Trump says he'll announce before he leaves for his Mideast trip next week.
I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make. Like, as big as it gets, it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years.
In history.
He's also reportedly planning to announce that the U.S. will now refer to the Persian Gulf as the Arabian Gulf. In Tel Aviv, Greg Balcon, Fox News.
Los Angeles is putting the brakes on
Fox News. Did you guys hear the way they said that? Llama, good evening.
Gulf. In Tel Aviv, Greg Balcon, Fox News.
Los Angeles.
Why did he do that? Fox News.
The Arabian Gulf.
Also, he kind of looks like Bill Gates.
In Tel Aviv, Greg Balcon, Fox News.
Los Angeles is putting the brakes on
JD Jerkin. maybe Trump is laid off or is laid off. Fucking shit. Sorry. Trump is not the one that's laid off. I'm flabbergasted here. Maybe Trump is proposing raising taxes because he's sad because he heard the news that one Mr. Elmo was laid off. Elmo is thrilled to announce that he is officially open to work. Yes, it's true. Donald Trump signed an executive order to halt all federal funds to PBS, the free broadcasting service home to many children's educational programs. Is it a coincidence that this came after Sesame Street has spent the last 4 decades trolling him with a Muppet named Donald Grump? You can decide for yourself. In the wake of Trump's decision, Elmo did the unthinkable and created a LinkedIn profile where he wrote a post updating everyone on his current job status. Unfortunately, Elmo was recently laid off because of the federal budget cuts. I can't do the Elmo voice, I'm sorry. Elmo worked at Sesame Street for 45 years. He wasn't even an original Muppet. The story of Elmo is kind of interesting. Elmo is sad. Elmo loved his time at Sesame Street. Elmo is going to miss his friends Big Bird, Cookie Monster, Ernie, Bert, Abby, Grover, Count, and so many more. They made Elmo's day so much better. Elmo is looking for his next opportunity. Elmo is good at so many things like hugs. Elmo loves giving hugs. Elmo can also recognize the letter E, spell his name, feel empathy, sing Elmo's song, and ask how you are doing. Elmo is open to full-time or freelance roles. He's going to get in the gig economy. Oh my God, we're going to have an Elmo out here giving tug jobs. If you hear of any opportunities or want a hug, let's connect. And if you want to help Elmo and his friends, please urge your local congressperson to save public media. While Elmo is sad, Elmo is excited for what's next. And one more thing, Elmo loves you. Tug me, Elmo. Oh my gosh. That's actually a really good PR move for them. Really fucking smart. But Elmo is not the only person losing out thanks to the cuts the Trump administration initiating. This one's also kind of near and dear to me because you guys know I am from Appalachia. I am from a coal town. Coal miners lose free black lung screenings thanks to Trump's cuts.
Of NIOSH? Maybe not, but it does important work, or did. The federal agency researched and recommended ways to make workplaces safer. But the jobs of its own workers were not safe. Most were laid off by the Trump budget cuts. In tonight's Eye on America, Jerika Duncan looks at the potential impact of this in a part of the country that voted overwhelmingly for President Trump.
In West Virginia,
leopards eating faces.
Marion Tennant says he was destined to work in the mines.
That was the only thing in this area when I graduated high school.
That was in 1974.
NIOSH was in way.
He loves coal executives.
When Tennant was protected by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, or NIOSH. For decades, it offered free screenings for black lung, a chronic disease caused by prolonged exposure to coal dust. But the screenings have stopped because of President Trump's mandated budget cuts. What impact does that have on the workforce?
What's going to happen, I'm afraid, is your young ones, before they realize what they've done to their body, they're going to have black lung. And the numbers is going to rise.
Riley, come.
Catherine Blackwood was a PhD scientist at the NIOSH facility in Morgantown, West Virginia, where she studied the dangers of mold exposure.
I'm angry that we are just being cast aside.
Her job was eliminated April 1st, along with over 200 others, from people who oversee mine safety to those who study chemicals causing cancer and firefighters.
I'm really worried and fearful about what the impacts are going to be on the rest of us.
You're not talking just about Morgantown, are you?
No, I'm not. Every single person faces different hazards at their work every day. And without NIOSH, I think that we are all in danger.
We reached out to Health and Human Services to ask about cuts to crucial programs. A spokesperson said in part, the department remains focused on cutting wasteful bureaucracy and eliminating duplicative administration.
No, when they say wasteful bureaucracy, what they mean is shit that actually helps people. I'm tired of pretending it's not.
Administrative roles.
The work being done at NIOSH was not wasteful. It was not duplicative. It was not.
None of this shit is wasteful.
The research that was being done at NIOSH was being done nowhere else in the world.
West Virginia.
The government wastes a shit ton of money, giving it away to oil companies and defense contractors and just blowing it on fucking military shit. There's plenty of waste, fraud, and abuse to cut, but it ain't coming from the people that are testing your water and your air quality. God damn, we're testing your food and your drugs.
Not only coal country, it's Trump country. He won this state with 70% of the vote. Tennant, who's now retired, says he didn't vote for Kamala Harris or Trump.
He's looking at the coal-fired power plants, but he's also doing away with NIOSH that helps the safety of the coal miners.
The budget for NIOSH was about $363 million in 2023. That same year, job injuries and illnesses cost Americans around $176 billion. Without NIOSH, officials say that number could be even higher.
I don't think it's hyperbole to say that eviscerating NIOSH, as they have, will cause people to die.
Which is exactly what NIOSH was created to prevent. For Eye on America, Jerika Duncan, Morgantown, West Virginia.
Jerika Jerkin? I'm sorry. God damn it. Cancel Justin. Earlier today, Trump pulled the nomination for Ed Martin, someone who was a Stop the Steal activist and a man who praised a literal Nazi. That's why his nomination been held up by even Republicans. He was set to be the D.C. U.S. prosecutor.
From the White House tonight, President Trump says he is pulling his nomination for D.C.'s top federal prosecutor. Ed Martin has been the acting U.S. attorney for the district since Trump's first week in office, but there's been bipartisan pushback here over his nomination. We asked D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser for her reaction to the president's move.
We don't get a vote. When we become a state, we'll have 2 senators who can vote on the presidential nominees. So we'll look to see who the interim is, and we'll stand ready to work with who's confirmed.
And President Trump says he plans to announce his new nominee very soon. He also says Martin could possibly take on another role in the Justice Department.
So we have an inside scoop on who his nominee may very well be. Oh God, he's actually done it. The story has changed. It's no longer that it's an inside scoop. He is now appointed Judge Jeanine Pirro to be the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. And I guess nominated her to take Ed Martin's spot. President Donald Trump says he will appoint Fox News host and former prosecutor Jeanine Pirro as interim U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Trump announced the pick in a post on Truth Social, apparently within like the last hour. This election comes as Trump told reporters in the Oval Office Thursday that Ed Martin, who is currently serving as D.C.'s interim top prosecutor, would not be taking the position. ABC News had reported earlier that Trump was eyeing Pirro for the position. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. A representative for Fox News Press Relations did not immediately respond to ABC News. I think we get to see Judge Jeanine here later on in the show. I have a clip from the 5. Pirro has been a longtime ally of Trump, dating back to her time as a prominent prosecutor in New York. She was an early supporter of his 2016 campaign and publicly defended him during the Access Hollywood tape scandal. Following Trump's loss in 2020, Pirro pushed false allegations of election fraud involving voting machines. It was later among the Fox News employees named in the Dominion Voting Systems defamation lawsuit for broadcasting false claims about the company. Fox News eventually settled for $787 million and admitted that their statements were false. In 2019, Pirro was reportedly suspended by Fox News after she questioned the loyalty of Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar to the U.S. Constitution, citing her Muslim faith. Martin, who had been vying to become the top prosecutor in one of the nation's most important U.S. attorney's offices, has served as the interim U.S. attorney since the start of the administration, but that term expires on May 20th. Martin promoted Donald Trump's Stop the Steal campaign in 2021 and was himself seen on Capitol grounds during the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Trump said Thursday that Martin could serve in another capacity at the Justice Department. One of Trump's final acts before leaving office in 2021 was issuing a last-minute pardon to Pirro's ex-husband, a longtime GOP donor. I find Jeanine entertaining. She could be my GOP mommy. Sorry. Well, look at it this way. He's decimating Fox News. I'm amazed Tucker Carlson isn't in the administration, but maybe Trump is aware, like we all are, that Tucker actually hates his guts. I'm sorry, clinically. I'm sorry. The Kennedy Center director slams Les Mis actors as vapid and intolerant for threatening a boycott of a Trump performance. Says they will no longer fund intolerance. Remember, the Kennedy Center director is a Trump loyalist. The Kennedy Center is fighting back against a group of actors who threatened to close the curtain on Donald Trump. On Wednesday, CNN reported that 10 out of the 12 actors in Les Miserables tour group plan to boycott the Kennedy Center performance that Trump plans to attend. Kennedy Center director Richard Grenell has now delivered a seething response to the performers' plan. We haven't heard this rumor, read a statement from Grenell to Entertainment Weekly, but the Kennedy Center will no longer fund intolerance. Grinnell was appointed interim director of the Kennedy Center back in February after Trump purged the historic venue's former leadership and inserted himself as the chairman of the board. Any performer who isn't professional enough to perform for patrons of all backgrounds, regardless of political affiliation, won't be welcomed, Grinnell added. In fact, we think it would be important to out those vapid and intolerant artists to ensure producers know who they shouldn't hire, and that the public knows which shows have political litmus tests to sit in the audience. Wow, does he know the plot of Les Mis? He continued. Have you seen the play, Grinnell? He continued. The Kennedy The Kennedy Center wants to be a place where people of all political stripes sit next to each other and never ask who someone voted for, but instead enjoy a performance together. Although Grinnell preaches for an even political playing field, Trump has a slightly different vision for the Kennedy Center. In February, when he first announced his takeover of the organization, the president wrote on Truth Social, "No more drag shows and other anti-American propaganda. Only the best." Well, sir, if you are going to alienate the LGBTQ community from theater productions, I assure you, you will not be getting the best. You will not be getting the best hair and makeup. You will not be getting the best costumes. You will not be getting the best sets. And you most certainly will not be getting the best music or actors. I hooked up with this guy on Grindr one time, and he told me, Lil Nas X is gay for pay. And I'm like, I've been in the arts my entire life. There are plenty of gay people with immense talent that you do not have to pay a straight person to act gay. That is an insane, this is 2022 or something. War Machine, welcome in. Llama, did I tell you good evening? Holiday. Welcome in, friends. I just that's absurd to me. Representative Anna Paulina Luna is apparently going to be leading a bipartisan delegation to El Salvador. Let's go to CBS News. This is Anna Paulina Luna. Oh, hold on. That's not CBS News. That is Anna Paulina Luna, though. Anna Paulina Luna can be my GOP mommy. Anna Paulina Luna is leading a congressional delegation to El Salvador.
El Salvador has quickly become a prism through which to view America's immigration debate. But the way Republicans and Democrats look through that prism and see things differs. Republicans and Democrats don't agree on what's going on there. And one of the interesting things we're going to talk about now is for Florida.
No, I think we all agree that it's a torture prison. I think Republicans very happy it's a torture prison.
Republican Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, who recently visited El Salvador and talked to our Nicole Killian, who joins us now from Capitol Hill. Nicole, what did you learn?
Well, Major, that code delegation is underway, led by Anna Paulina Luna, who is also traveling with Congressman Vicente Gonzalez. They both are co-chairs of the El Salvador caucus here on Capitol Hill.
There's an El Salvador caucus?
Trip that they are making. Take a listen to what Congresswoman Luna told me about
why
she's taking this trip now.
We are going down there because El Salvador went from being one of the most violent countries in South America to one of the safest. And they are our friends in an area that is increasingly being dominated by Chinese and the cartels, as well as communist ideologies. And so we want friends in South America.
Wow.
So the Congresswoman says this visit really will have nothing to do with Kilmar Abrego Garcia, of course, the deported immigrant from El Salvador who was recently sent back. Obviously, there's a big legal battle over this. Instead, she said she was invited at the invitation of El Salvador's President Bukele, and that this is really about strengthening ties between the U.S. and El Salvador.
And Nicole, you also spoke with her about a recent push to consider that
this is some sort of grandstanding, because I don't know that she has any constituents that are actually in the prison at El Salvador.
Challenges of being a new parent on Capitol Hill in terms of proxy voting. What did you learn?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we know the Congresswoman was really at the forefront of this debate, along with Colorado Congresswoman Brittany Peterson, with respect to this issue of proxy voting for new parents, allowing new parents to vote remotely when they are unable after giving birth due to medical complications. And so from that standpoint, obviously, we saw a heated debate in the House where that measure was ultimately blocked, and Congresswoman Luna reached a compromise with the Speaker.
Yeah, I'm kind of out.
But that being said,
see if I scrape together another bowl.
Congresswoman Peterson tell me they are not giving up on this issue of proxy voting, and they are planning to work with each other to advance other family-friendly policies in Congress. Take a listen to both of them told me earlier this month.
Thank you, girl. The gray.
Time you can use the child care.
I've got a bowl left. I'm saving it for after the show. Well, half a bowl at least.
If you don't, which why would you ever want to encourage your representative to move to Washington, you actually can't use daycare. That is an incredibly important tool for members that are.
Did she just say you can't use dick hair?
They are planning to work with each other to advance.
What are you using dick hair for?
Friendly policies in Congress. Take a listen to both of them told me earlier this month.
If you live here full time, you can use the child care. If you don't, which why would you ever want to encourage your representative to move to Washington, you actually can't use daycare. That is an important tool for members that are working parents.
Having gone from having a baby and the whirlwind of this while also traveling back with Sam.
That didn't sound anything like dick hair. How did I get that? I'm sorry.
You know, I think now once the dust settles, it's coming up with our action plan. It's really building those broad bipartisan coalitions. It's the moms and dads here in Congress coming together to actually solve some of the problems that we face.
So both of them told me that they hope that their bipartisan resolution will be resurrected at some point for a vote, if not in this Congress, perhaps in a future Congress.
You can braid dick hair.
That there are more young mothers coming to Congress like them, and so that's why it's important these accommodations are made going forward. Major.
Nicole Killian on Capitol Hill, as always. Thank you so much.
Oh, shut up, Major. I'm coming after Major Garrett now. Smokey, God damn it. I've got all my accoutrements out and stuff. He's got to go stick his cat hair in it. Hey, Smokey. No, Bubby, you can't get up there. No, I can't have you on my desk. God damn it, Bubs. Either get in my lap or go play somewhere. Come on, Bubby. No, you can't lay there. I can't have you lay. Okay, come on, get my lap. God damn it, Smokey. Yes, Bubby, I love you. I love you so much. You're such a sweet kitty. Yeah, but then the Republicans took over. Come on, Bubby, lay down. He's being indecisive right now. Come on, Bubby. Well, you can't lay on my desk because... No, you can't lay on my mouse. No, Bubs. Like, right in front of me is my rolling tray and shit. He keeps sticking his cat ass in my rolling tray. I mean, I would love for him to lay wherever he damn well chooses, except right here, right in this area. He can lay any. There's plenty of places for him to lay now. Plenty of chairs, plenty of surfaces, high, low. Lots of stuff. I was kind of sad for him for a month or two there. I didn't have a lot of furniture in here, but now they got plenty of stuff. They got plenty of furniture. They got plenty of things to climb on. He fucking took a run and go and got up on that chair earlier today. It was hilarious. All right, what were we doing? Okay, yeah, we're doing deportations. Last night, I played you the video. Oh, I'm sorry, Julie. I love them, and like multiple of my friends are allergic to cats, so I don't get my friends coming over very much. Like Battle of Possum comes down for WrestleMania, but he has to like multiple Benadryls throughout the day, like take them as like a prophylactic to make sure he doesn't start getting sick from it. I try to clean up as well. I try to get all the cat hair up before he gets here. But last night we did the protest where demonstrators took over the library at Columbia University. Apparently, the Trump administration and local authorities are trying to determine if they can deport any of the people they arrested last night.
Dozens of arrests last night. Pro-Palestinian protesters occupying the campus at Butler Library. But now authorities are looking to see if the people in their custody should face further action. Janice Yu has more from Morningside Heights.
Columbia University limited access to its campus Thursday in light of the chaos that erupted the previous night. Dozens of pro-Palestinian protesters made their way into a room in the Butler Library. Nearly 900 students who were studying for finals were forced to get out. Within hours, the university asked the NYPD to come on campus, and officers detained 80 people, most of whom are believed to have no affiliation with the school. Almost all were given desk appearance tickets for criminal trespass, and 2 received summonses for disorderly conduct.
Says who that they have no affiliation with the school? Says who? That came from the White House last night. DJ Dub, welcome in.
President of the school expressed her disappointment in a video.
I arrived to see one of our public safety officers wheeled out on a gurney and another getting bandaged. As I
Fuck 'em.
hours later, I walked through the reading room, one of the many jewels of Butler Library, and I saw it defaced and damaged in disturbing ways and with disturbing slogans.
However, some students say they applaud the protesters' actions.
Columbia being invested in the genocide of Palestinian people is number one, and of course, like bending over backwards for Trump, deporting its own students.
The school has been in the spotlight recently as President Donald Trump decided to pull $400 million in funding in response to how it handled last year's pro-Palestinian protest. New York Representative Elise Stefanik expressed her support for the president's decision.
These schools are not entitled to taxpayer dollars, and they're not meeting their federal requirement to protect the civil rights of all students on campuses.
Meantime,
Fuck Elise Stefanik. She can also be my GOP mommy. Apparently, she is considering running for governor of New York.
Their federal requirement to protect the civil rights of all students on campuses.
Meantime, Secretary of State Marco Rubio posted on social media saying they're reviewing the statuses of those detained in yesterday's protests, saying, quote, pro-Hamas thugs are no longer welcome in our great nation.
Classes have ramped up for the semester here at Columbia University, but students are preparing for finals, and graduation is just a couple of weeks away. Remember, last year, graduation was canceled altogether because of the ongoing protests. At Columbia University in Morningside Heights, Janice Yu, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Not the only students facing deportation. This one might get you a little upset. A Dalton College student was taken into custody by ICE in the Department of Homeland Security. I think she had just graduated from college and might have been driving drunk, I think was the story.
to college, and she was an honor student since middle school, and she loves to run. It's her passion.
With 2 family members now in the Stewart detention facility, Jimena Arias Cristobal's family worries about her future. Family friend Hannah Jones told us Wednesday about the 19-year-old's plight with DACA.
She doesn't qualify for the Dreamer and the DACA protections, so there really is no pathway to citizenship for these individuals.
That's because her family says she came here from Mexico City when she was 4 in 2010. DACA only applied to people here before 2007. We asked the attorney representing her about what options it left her with.
There's been no new individuals approved, so even if she was eligible, she wouldn't have been able to apply for it.
She is not a danger to the community. You know, she's been here for 15 years.
Her entire life.
Georgia Republican Representative Casey Carpenter says Arias Cristobal had no pathway to legal citizenship.
That's the argument that you hear all the time from people on the other side is, well, they've been here 15 years. Why haven't they become a citizen? Because it's impossible.
It's something he's seeing more of in his district, where more than half of the residents are Hispanic.
I probably get 6 or 7 calls a week from people that have been detained. No, it's not isolated. You know, it's not the law enforcement's fault.
And he says it's a growing problem under the current administration.
The reality is we need to secure the border and have a more robust immigration system where people can apply and they don't have to wait 8 years to come into the country.
There is no path to citizenship for her. How could she do it? She was 19. I hate it here. Yeah, she don't know anybody in Mexico. Has she ever even been to Mexico? It was just sending somebody to a country they might have never even been to. The Secretary of State for Illinois is apparently firing back after Kristi Noem went to Springfield for a bit. Remember Springfield? Where they were eating the pets? Or was that Springfield, Ohio? It's Ohio, wasn't it? Look at this cool motherfucker.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am standing in the spot where Kristi Noem was supposed to come. Before she chickened out and flew back to Washington, D.C.
Oh, shit. Oh, she didn't even make an appearance.
Let me tell you what you already know. Why her cruelty and cowardice and incompetence is so dangerous for our country.
She is a weasel.
On a day when
can also be my GOP mommy.
People who are scared of being deported, scared of being torn away from their families, scared of a country that used to believe in due process, feeling terrorized by this real ID system that we see every day. They don't know what to expect. They don't know if they're going to be with their families. Instead of dealing with this issue on the day
I like it nasty.
that they've implemented this deadline, instead of doing her job, she is traveling around doing vanity stops to make political hits instead of her doing her job. She's weaponized the real ID system, which was meant, by the way, to make us a safer country, allegedly. She's weaponized allegedly fear and heartache and pain and agony across the state of Illinois and across the country. And when I think about Kristi Noem, tragically I think about the very worst of what this country has come to symbolize. When I think about my parents who came to this country as 2 immigrants who believed in the promise of America, who've worked really hard to create a better society, a better state. And I think about this monster Donald Trump, and I think about these dangerously incompetent and cruel people like Kristi Noem, who instead of focusing on leadership and helping others and welcoming people, they are scaring the shit out of people and sending them to other countries without due process. And I will just tell you, the combination of cowardice, incompetence, and cruelty is a very scary mix. So
I'm going to guess this guy's wanting J.D. Pritzker's seat after Pritzker's term is up.
While I'm glad she's not here, we need to step up as a society, as a country, as a democracy to monsters like Kristi Noem, who don't care about people, who don't care about making this world a better place, who instill fear and division and terror in everyday people who have done nothing wrong. I will tell you one anecdote. 2 days ago, we were at the Real ID Supercenter, and I met a young lady who had 2 little kids, and I have 4 little kids of my own. One was about 9 months, the other one was about 3 years old. And she waited 3
See, he told us he fucks, too.
that she didn't need. And when I saw her face, I saw nothing but fear and horror. Here's a woman who's done nothing f***ing wrong in her whole life except for provide for her family, work 2 jobs, and try to be a loving mother just to make sure her kids had an opportunity to have a life that she never will have. And she's not bitter.
We might be looking at a future star in the Democratic Party here.
But she's waiting in line for something that she doesn't need because of the headlines and the terror that this administration has caused. What has happened to our country? What has happened? What has happened to Washington, D.C.? So we need everyone now more than ever to step up, to stand up, to fight back against the cruelty and the horror that's coming out of Washington, D.C. So I am here to fight alongside with you.
Well, just from his rhetoric, he's refreshing.
Judge all of us as those
coming from Illinois politics, you might have to question his policies, but his rhetoric is refreshing. This is Illinois Secretary of State Alexi. I'm gonna fuck it up. Is Torchy here? Torchy could give me a phonetical pronunciation. Giannuilius. It is a Greek name, apparently.
Yannuis.
Yannuis. So Alexi Yannuis, the Illinois Secretary of State. Avalon, good evening. Objectively. Prometheus, I tell you good evening. Alexi Yannuis. How'd I say it the first time? Nowhere fucking close to correct. Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Yannuis taking shots at Kristi Noem. Apparently they got her to back out of a planned appearance in Springfield, Illinois. She did not back out of her planned appearance in front of the Senate Appropriations Committee, and things got a little tense between her and Senator Van Hollen. I said it very badly, didn't I? Senator Van Hollen, the senator that went down and visited with Kilmar Abrego Garcia in El Salvador, went face-to-face with Kristi Noem earlier today.
Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Secretary, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
And I was glad to see
No, it's not.
recent testimony that you reaffirmed your obligations to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And I understand you had an exchange with Senator Murphy on the Abrego Garcia case. And so I'm just going to put the question directly to you. Are you or DHS doing anything to comply with the 9-0 Supreme Court order to facilitate his return to the United States? Just yes or no?
This administration is following all federal court orders.
Madam Secretary, this is a
It's
simple
the
question. I'm
president's
asking-
prerogative on
Madam-
conversations that
Madam
happen
Chair,
with the president of El Salvador.
I ask a simple question. We have a limited amount of time. I just asked you, Madam Secretary, whether or not you or the Department of Homeland Security are taking any action to facilitate the 9-0 Supreme Court decision to facilitate his return. This is a very simple question. Are you taking any action to facilitate his return, or are you not?
This administration is following and complying with all federal court orders.
No, they
to
aren't.
Make sure that we
So
are.
you are, so because the court ordered that you facilitate his return, so you are
So
facilitating.
what are the steps you're taking?
Sir, Senator, thank you for the question. But what I would
Madam
tell you
Secretary-
is that we are following court orders,
Madam
and that your advocacy for a known terrorist is alarming.
Wow.
To me, because he's a human smuggler.
Madam
he's a
Secretary,
wife
I'm going to have to reclaim
and
my
a terrorist.
Are you not under oath?
He's a citizen of El Salvador, and he's home. If he were to come back
Madam
here,
Secretary?
we would take him immediately.
All right,
back
I'm going to have to, Madam Secretary, you should know a couple facts then, which is, number one, in 2019, the immigration court said that he should not be returned to El Salvador because it would put his life in danger. The Trump administration at the time did not appeal that decision. After that, he got a work permit and was working legally in the United States of America. This is also why the district court and the appellate court and the Supreme Court have ruled as they have. I suggest that rather than make these statements here, that you and the Trump administration make them in court under oath, because despite what you just said, the federal district court whose judge is hearing this case right now said, and I'm quoting, that the administration has provided no evidence linking Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any other terrorist activity. I'm not vouching for the man. I'm vouching for his due
Well, yes,
process
you are,
rights.
sir. You've
No,
been
no,
vouching
no,
for
Madam
him.
Secretary,
I
with
would
respect.
suggest that you
Vouching for the rule of law.
alongside the victims
this-
of
you're-
illegal
this is
crime in
political
this country,
rhetoric.
the citizens who live here and
Do
are
you-
United States Americans. I would suggest you advocate for them as hard
Madam
as you would do
Secretary,
for foreign terrorists.
I know you're doing a political speech
No,
here.
I'm
I
not,
get it.
sir.
I'm
I'm
asking questions of law. No, you're just spewing
I truly
rhetoric.
believe this. I
Well, you're
truly believe
spewing
this
rhetoric.
as an
Let me ask
American.
you this: Do you agree?
I truly believe you're full of shit.
Justice Scalia, in the Supreme Court opinion in Reno v. Flores, that I'm quoting, "It is well established that the Fifth Amendment entitles aliens to due process of law in deportation proceedings." End of quote.
Sir, we are utilizing every due process tool that this Congress has afforded us.
This is-
The Congress decides what
Madam
due process
Secretary,
is appropriate for every situation. Expedited removal is a due process that you have afforded us that we are utilizing. The Alien Enemies
Madam,
Act
I'm going
is
to
another
reclaim my
tool that
time,
we're
Madam
utilizing.
Secretary.
So
You
we are
are,
giving due
Madam
process
Secretary.
and using the tools
Madam
that
Secretary,
this Congress has given
this
us.
is really, I'm asking sort of simple questions of law, and simple questions like, are you complying with the 9-0 Supreme Court decision? And you seem to think that.
How are you complying?
Let me ask you this. You were down at CCAR.
I would ask, how are you complying with it? Very simple. The court ordered you to comply. How are you complying with it? What steps are you taking? How is she going to dodge that question?
In El Salvador. And you said, and that I'm quoting, "It is one of the tools in the toolkit that we will use." And it's well known that the Trump administration is paying the government of El Salvador to keep these individuals, including those who the U.S. courts have determined were illegally taken out of the country in violation of their due process rights. Have you?
What day is it? It's Thursday, isn't it? It's not Wednesday. It's Thursday. Okay. Thought I was going crazy.
You seen the grant document between the United States
Casey, you working gal.
and El Salvador with respect to the CCAR?
It's important that everybody knows the consequences of what happens for their actions in this country. When you break the law and you're a member of a foreign
Madam
terrorist
Secretary, I asked you a
organization, there are
question. Have you
consequences
seen
to
the
that.
document? This is not hard.
Yes, I have.
Okay. And What are the provisions of the doc? So do you know what entities in El Salvador are receiving the funds?
I'm sure you can see this document as well and have looked at it for evaluation.
I'm glad you raised that, Madam Secretary, because I sent you a letter along with many of my colleagues here on April 8th asking for, among other things, that document. Will you respond to the letter that we sent?
I will respond to your letter.
Thank you. Can I get
Where's the document?
We will take a look at it. I don't remember seeing your letter yet, but I will certainly take a look at it.
Well, it's been there over a month.
The senator's time has expired.
No, Madam Chair.
Senator Kennedy?
Madam Chair.
Madam Secretary.
Secretary, I have some additional questions.
No, sir. That's up to
Fire
you to manage that time. Senator Kennedy.
Madam
Well, I need a little help from a chair that respects the members of the
Madam
committee. I'm sorry.
Secretary.
Smug ass Kennedy. Don't worry, don't worry. You're gonna get a dose of Kennedy here in just a little bit. Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia went after this is the Armed Services Committee hearing. Went after Matthew Lohmeyer. This is the former lieutenant colonel in the Space Force. Matthew Lohmeyer testifying in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee earlier today. Stop being a bitch, YouTube. Oh, there's Senator Joni Ernst looking awfully striking.
Senator Kaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the witnesses, congratulations for your nominations. There's a
this is last week.
Beautiful phrase in the New Testament in both the Gospels of Luke and Matthew that goes something like this: "From the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks." And Mr. Lohmeyer, I want to ask you about your very active.
This is my senator. Now, I just moved. This is my senator now. I was just bragging about him the other day. Like, this is probably the best two senators I've ever had in my life. And then this motherfucker comes on here, oh, I want to read you some Bible verses. Fuck you, pal. However, Senator Joni Ernst, she can be my GOP mommy.
Senator Kaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the witnesses, congratulations for your nominations. There's a beautiful phrase in the New Testament in both the Gospels of Luke and Matthew that goes something like this: "From the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks." And Mr. Lohmeyer, I want to ask you about your very active.
If Senator Joni Ernst read me Bible verses, I'd be totally fine with that.
Mouth and what it reveals about your heart, your tweeting. And I'll just give you a few examples. August 9, 2024. The left lies about nearly everything it does, and tens of millions of Americans believe the lies. So trashing the left and calling tens of millions of Americans dupes. August 2nd, 2024. If today you're wondering why the left and Mitt Romney seem to have entirely lost any semblance of a moral compass, Vladimir Lenin provides you
the left and Mitt Romney.
April 1, 2023. Of all that is good and decent, the left is the real oppressor. But the one I want to ask you about is the one that Senator Hirono asked you about, and she read you an excerpt. I'll read the whole thing. A tweet from August 9, 2024. Picked this up in my base exchange at Buckley Air Force Base several weeks after J6. This is what the Biden-Harris administration ushered in. After a government-led false flag and hoax at the Capitol, they immediately demonized the men and women in uniform. Then they purged conservatives and Christians with their shot mandates. Brilliant planning, actually. Tell me what the phrase that you wrote, government-led false flag and hoax at the Capitol.
Left lies all the time, followed by a bunch of shitty lies.
Thanks for bringing this up again, Senator. I like the verses that you've read. I agree that it matters a great deal that we try and speak truthfully. I'll remind you respectfully that the comments that I made that you've just shared were shared on my X account, I presume. while I was a private citizen in this country in 2020.
So?
I've been out of uniform for 3 years, and in fact, with absolutely no intention of returning to public service, I was quite enjoying private life and being able to criticize people as I wish.
So they were a sincere reflection of what you had in your heart at the time you
Well,
made them.
in as much as those statements were properly contextualized, and I can't speak to the context from which you've read, I always do try and speak honestly, and again, reserve the right to be wrong about any of my views. That
But
said,
how about just the phrase? What does, with respect to January 6th, what does your phrase, a government-led false flag and hoax at the Capitol, mean?
let me share too that while I do recognize the other quotes that you've read, I don't recall having written those words that you just read about. And so that could be partly a memory problem. It could be that I retweeted something and that quote has been pulled, but I don't recall using that phrase. What I do believe is that private citizens in this country can have the right to express their views, as mean or as wrong as they might be, and that the men and women in uniform defend the right of the private citizen to speak those views, and that my concern while I was in uniform was in fact that the kind of partisan rhetoric that I had used, that you've just quoted from, for example, was actually being inserted into the military workplace in a way that divides troops.
What?
And so I was trying to hold our military cultural and workplace environment accountable to a standard of nonpartisanship, as I've indicated, so that we could thrive in unity and not division. Now, private citizens.
What was that word salad?
I completely agree. Private citizens have the right to say and believe whatever they want. This is a hearing about your qualifications for the position. The qualifications are essentially, in my view, a mixture of three things: background, character, and judgment. It's about judgment. I don't want to confirm somebody into the Pentagon who would fall for a conspiracy theory that a fourth grader would find incredible. If I searched your social media and I saw you praising the Great Pumpkin over and over again, you would have the right to have that view, but I wouldn't want somebody who believed in the Great
I love you, my lord. Welcome in.
the position that you're nominated for. And so if I'm thinking about people in the military, I know Virginia has an awful lot of people in the military. One of my kids is in the military. There are people in the military who are left, right, center, and maybe even more who are completely disinterested in politics, and we got to praise
Senator.
those. But how would somebody who's in the left or considers themselves in the left, serving in the Air Force, when you say the left lies about nearly everything it does, of all that is good and decent, the left is the real oppressor, how would any person who identifies that way feel any confidence that you as a leader would have their back?
Yes, Senator. I think it's a great question. It's one I actually share your concern for and care greatly about. Let me just share briefly in a 10-second answer that at the time that I departed from active duty, I had young men and women in uniform of all racial or ethnic backgrounds, certainly different political backgrounds, coming to me privately, sending me notes and saying, "Sir, I never knew what your political worldview was. I don't understand completely why you've chosen to now take a stand for these issues or write about what you did, but I respect you as a leader."
All right.
And if confirmed, I'd be happy to come
my
back.
time has run over, but I'll just, in yielding back to the chairman, I don't know where you were on January 6th. Most of us were here. A lot of us had a friend, a guy named Howie Liebengood, who was a Capitol police officer who died as a result of January 6th, whose widow, Serena, is one of my constituents. When I hear somebody, anybody, talk about what happened here as a false flag or a hoax, it is insulting to those of us who are here, and it's particularly insulting to those who lost loved ones that day. I yield back.
To me, he sounded intelligent enough and cagey enough that he's just a sycophant. He's saying things he knows he needs to say. I don't think that dude believes that it was a false flag. I think he just needs to say it. There are two types of people in the Republican Party. I say it all the time. The right-wingers are morons. Not all of them were morons. Some are sycophants. I think that dude might be a sycophant. But a lot of them are just stupid and brainwashed and in a fucking cult. They're in a fucking, it is a fucking cult. Trump is a cult of personality. They're in a cult around him. And it's obvious to anybody with any critical thinking skills. However, I always reserve the right to be wrong about these things, and I will keep an open mind. Maybe somebody can make a logical argument as to why they're not in a cult, we're in a cult. I doubt Charlie Kirk is going to do it, but he's going to try. He's going to give it his damnedest. T-minus, thank you for throwing out the gift sub to my lord.
My statement / question is, would you agree / disagree that the Make America movement, Make America Great movement, again, MAGA movement, is a cult?
No. Why don't you?
Looks like he is on the campus of the University of Tennessee, if you couldn't tell by the colors. So he's in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Explain to me and the audience, what is a cult?
Of course. Okay. Do you know any characteristics of a cult?
Sure. I mean, you could take the Jonestown death cult, of which there was a charismatic leader that constantly lied people, and they took him out of everyday normal life and leads them towards ostracization and cutting off of family ties.
Yeah, you're describing MAGA.
Yeah,
Sort of describing
I will
the
read
Democrat
you,
Party.
According to the... No. What I'm talking about is MAGA. According to the Bethune Cook University website, characteristics of a cult include isolating members and criticizing them for leaving. Would you say that members of the MAGA movement will criticize others for leaving?
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
But you guys criticize players that transfer out of the University of Tennessee football team. That's not a cult.
Oh, it kind of is. Oh, wrong. First of all, false analogy, but second, wrong. I will call Tennessee football fans a cult.
Absolute authoritarianism without meaningful accountability.
Yep.
Okay, so what you're trying to say is that, like, what the leader says, the leader gets, basically?
Yes.
We have lots of disagreements in the MAGA.
No, you don't.
In fact, I'm more pro-life than the president is.
You don't have disagreements, so much so that you call Republicans that step out of line with MAGA rhinos. You have a whole name for it to try to ostracize them, exactly as she's saying.
A lot of people in this audience would have differing views maybe on where the president is at on Israel or Gaza or Ukraine or Russia. In fact, some people in this audience might say the president is not as pro-Second Amendment as they would like. I would argue that we actually have far more intellectual diversity in the MAGA.
Wow. So Trump is not far enough right for you on abortion, even though he has been the one to pretty much ban abortion in the country. He's not far enough right on the Second Amendment. Like, seriously, did you hear what he said? Oh, he's not far enough right for us. So we have disagreements. That's not disagreement at all.
MAGA movement than your traditional Democrat Party.
I see where you're going with this and stating that not every person who, I guess, supports Trump is fully supportive of him, but I'm saying the MAGA movement who will agree with him no matter what.
Well, I actually think that there's more depth and complexity to the MAGA movement than you would.
There's not.
People here who would consider themselves to be part of the MAGA movement, they won't blindly sign on to everything that Trump does.
Yes, they will.
They will say that they agree with him 8 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times. And so I would say, though, you know what was a cult?
There's a bunch of 47 hats in the crowd.
What was a cult is what we lived during COVID. During COVID,
we don't have, like, there aren't people wearing Biden hats or Harris hats. Like, that's not a thing because we're not a cult.
And allow me to build out the argument that no matter what the CDC or Anthony Fauci would say, you would have the little talking heads on television parrot it back, no matter how insane it was. We must close the schools 6 feet to solve.
That's not insane. What are you talking about? The news reporters reported on what the public health officials were saying were the steps we needed to take. And you're Painting that is insane, you stupid fuck.
The spread, wear a mask while showering. Okay, I made that one up. But, I mean, the point being is that far more had characterizations of what a cult
No, it didn't.
than the traditional Make America Great Again.
Another false analogy.
Okay, but you could also argue.
And also, this young lady doing a decent job, but she's not media trained. She's not somebody like me. And Charlie Kirk never shows you when people like me step up to the microphone. I loved when the preachers were out in our square at college. I'd go up and argue with them all the time. I loved the change my mind fuckers that would come to campus. I loved to argue with them after I came straight out of philosophy class and shit. They're not going to show those. And she's doing a good job against him. That's the crazy part.
Side that Fox News does the exact same thing, where they just regurgitate everything that the right media is saying, and people on the right will believe anything Fox News says. And I'm not defending CNN. I'm not saying the Democratic Party is perfect. I'm just saying
CNN is not the Democratic Party.
Conservative people who
I actually will defend CNN.
matter what.
I've actually been really impressed. It's a recent development, and it's CNN International. It's specifically the two news stories I'm thinking of right now that we've watched in like the last week. Both wowed me with how good the journalism was. They both came from CNN, but it was CNN International. But like, I will defend them because the bias that CNN has is nothing like the propaganda on the right wing. I explained it the other night. Like, the bias from actual journalistic outlets like CNN, MSNBC comes from story selection. The fact that maybe ExxonMobil is a sponsor, so therefore they don't cover things like the oil spill in Louisiana that we talked about the other night. They don't, they might have Boeing. There's a lot of, what was that company? I forget the name of them. Somebody can tell me. They used to have a lot of commercials. They used to air on cable news. But they're like, we don't make the things that you buy. We make the things that you buy great. And I don't even remember what the company, it was some plastics company or chemical company, but like they weren't, BSF, thank you, M. Lord, BSF. So they're not consumer facing. They have no reason to have advertising on cable news. They did it so that they could have somewhat of a say in story selection. CNN doesn't come out and lie to you. They have a bias in how they frame stories, how the ones that they select to cover in the first place. I explained it the other day when I was doing the news for my local news, for my local radio station. I had a funny news segment on Kid Craddock in the morning, and it was one day I played music that made a joke with the story, and one day I did a story about a razor blade, because McDonald's workers use razor blades to open packages and shit. A razor blade had fell into the McMuffin mix or some shit. So they were Egg McMuffin, yeah. So they had like a razor blade and Egg McMuffin. A customer had bit into it. And the song I used was Cuts Like a Knife by Bryan Adams. Na, 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 na. And the sales rep came in after he heard it and asked me to take it off because he didn't want the local McDonald's franchisee to be upset about the covers. Like, oh, people won't come into McDonald's because the razor blade story, blah, blah, blah. That's where the bias comes in. And once again, the capitalistic incentive. Fox News just straight up lies to you. They didn't like that. They had the best election an analyst in the business. They fired him because he correctly called Arizona for Joe Biden in 2020. They straight up lie to their audience. And if you read the letters in the Dominion lawsuit, they fucking have a disdain for their audience. They know their audience is a bunch of dumb fucks. So, boom, clear that up, the difference in the media. Yes, there is bias in CNN, MSNBC, but I will stand by their journalism. They're not going to come straight out and fucking lie to you.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get to where you have come to this opinion. I'm trying to understand it because I see something completely different.
I do not use CNN as my news source, by the way, just so you know.
Good for you. Apparently, you haven't been in an airport recently because the only people that watch CNN is if you're walking through an airport.
Who gives a shit?
So, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from, and by your own definition of a cult.
It's not my own. It's a
Okay,
legitimate.
fine. So
educational
let me ask you a
definition.
question. A cult would probably convince people to do something that would be against their humanity. Would you agree?
Oh my God! Yes.
Probably get people to do something that they know is wrong, even though they think they should do something is right.
Maybe because
That happens all the time with right wingers.
certain things that
For
they
sure.
don't actually agree
No,
with
no,
because
okay.
they don't have the proper information
Got
on
it.
it.
So, for example, would you agree that when the Democrats sat during the State of the Union address to not applaud a kid with brain cancer, that is cult-like behavior?
No, the cult-like behavior is framing their legitimate protest of Trump cutting cancer funds for that kid. The very doctor that helped cure that kid says that they are seeing funding cuts from the Trump administration. You framing it as they didn't stand for a cancer survivor, that's straight-up fascist propaganda. I had a right-winger earlier talk about the terrorists at Washington University that we covered last night. It was like, oh, well, they should be charged with the damage that they did. And I said, well, what they were protesting was Boeing's involvement, that they have a contract with that engineering department, and Boeing had done trillions of damage to Gaza. So when you actually frame the students' actions and still man what their argument is, doesn't look so bad, does it? Exploiting a sick kid. Exactly, Oregon Gal. It's disgusting. And because she's not media trained, because she doesn't, deal with right-wingers on a daily basis the way I do, she didn't have that in her pocket ready to come back at Charlie Kirk. So I hope she has something good. Come on.
Told them not to do it. I mean,
well, who told them not to?
Exactly. I mean, their leadership told
So
them.
who's their leader? If they're
Well,
a cult,
Chuck
then who's their
Schumer
leader?
or Hakeem Jeffries, they had strict orders. Do not.
No, they didn't.
Applaud for anything Trump does.
No, they didn't, because they did. They did applaud.
Says, hey, can we just have a moment of non-political? Here's DJ Daniel. He's dying of brain cancer. He's now a ceremonial member of the Secret Service. And every Democrat sat with their arms crossed, not even being.
I don't think every Democrat did.
That's a cult.
Okay. To respond to that, that is simply one example, and I'm sure you can pull a bunch other.
And it wasn't a good example.
And I'm not saying that.
With the stock market at record highs, are you prepared for the next?
Oh my God!
Elections can be unforgiving.
Calling the opposition political movement a cult when the other one that you happen to be more allied with is obviously much more of a cult.
No, it's not.
Then tell me how it's a cult. Tell me how the Democratic
Okay,
Party
how
is a
about
cult
this?
compared to MAGA.
I'll give you another. I mean, you asked me for more examples.
Yes.
The day of the State of the Union address, all 22 Democrat senators repeated the very same video on social media, mindlessly like robots.
What video?
The video where they said something is effing out of control and this is not right. You guys all saw that video. Repeating the same incantation with not even like an iota of creativity or ingenuity, like just repeating it like as if they've been hypnotized into a. Got it.
I have not seen that video.
But that's not the way social media works.
But again, I'm not even the one that is up here throwing around the cult word towards the Democrat Party. I just think it's a supremely rich accusation to say the MAGA movement is part of a cult, when evidently, based on the own standard that you put forward, the Democrat Party embodies those characteristics far more than Republican conservatives ever have or ever will.
You gave one flimsy fucking example.
So one of the main aspects of a cult is a leader, a charismatic leader that people will follow blindly no matter what. The leader of the MAGA movement is Trump. Who are you stating the leader of the Democratic Party is that people will follow blindly without questioning no matter what?
Well, I mean, there's...
And I'm hearing tons of different examples, so that can just tell you there's not one.
Okay, again, so It could be Obama. It could be Rachel Maddow.
It could not be.
The point being is that I don't even think it's the strongest argument to call either party a cult. That's not why I'm up here. I'm simply just playing the same frequency that you're coming at, that based on the definition, the Democrat Party is far more mindless and far more of a Borg, to use a Star Trek analogy, than the Republican Party or the conservative movement. And so, but here's something I do want to ask, though. If you are positing that it is a cult, do you think this entire audience is part of a cult and they don't realize it?
Yes. Yes.
That my statement was the Make America Great Again movement.
I think if you are wasting your time at a Turning Points USA rally in Knoxville, Tennessee on a gorgeous fucking day, you're in a fucking cult. Why is Charlie Kirk on the campus of the University of Tennessee? What the fuck purpose does it have?
Is a cult. I'm not saying the conservative party is. I'm saying the far-right MAGA movement is a cult. I will say that I believe in my heart that there are certain people in this group who could be characterized as someone who is in a cult.
I'd start with the people wearing the 47 hats behind you.
I mean, I think that's insane. And I'm not here to give Democrats advice, but it's so destructive to our politics to call people that just won a national electoral landslide and the national popular vote as part of a cult.
Ad populum argument.
Maybe
they didn't win a landslide.
We do.
Maybe they just. Maybe they had billions of dollars to put into their campaign funding that got them.
He's going to talk about Kamala's wasted billions.
Hold on. I mean, you seem well-intentioned. So who spent more money in this election?
It was Kamala.
Or Donald Trump? It's not even close. It's 3-1.
I know.
Kamala and her affiliated super PAC.
Because we don't know all the dark money that fucking Elon was spending and shit.
Do you have the numbers?
Yeah, you can go to opensecrets.org. You can look at all the outside groups, the hard money that Kamala raised.
See, she didn't know what she was talking about. She was unprepared for this.
By the way, do you know that 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest counties in America vote Democrat? Do you know the wealthier you are in America, the more likely you are to be a member of the Democrat Party? That the more, if you work with your hands and you don't graduate from college.
One, that is a very, very recent phenomenon.
Your, fellow.
That is not like
at me from.
We are in the middle of a paradigm shift. The idea that the Democrats are the party of the wealthy is a 2010s phenomenon. That is not the way it used to be. This is a new thing with Trump, and I think it's only a Trump thing. I'm pretty sure without Trump, it will regress back to the norm, because working people surely will see that the Republicans don't represent them. Warlord, welcome in. What are you doing up so late? So he's stating it as a fact, but once again, I think that's yet another example of the working class moving towards Trump as a part of, the cult.
The audience saying, well, that's because, they're so educated. Do never conflate everybody, credentials, with an education. Just because you have a lot of degrees does not mean you have the most important thing, wisdom. Wisdom is different than a credential. Now, I could tell that you're coming after this from a good perspective. So my last homework assignment for you is this.
Oh, my God.
I want you to go find 5 people with a MAGA hat once this event is over and talk to them. And then I want you to say what you said to me. I want you to first accuse them of being in a cult. Because if you can,
brother, they're all gonna say the exact fucking shit. I talk to the MAGA people in the hats all the fucking time, and all of them are going to say, like a fucking pull string doll, are gonna say the same exact shit.
Say it to me. You can say it to them.
Sure.
And then I want you to have a good faith conversation, because we are not going to bring this country together, of which is actually our goal here as part of the MAGA movement, which is why we have an open mic. If you go around accusing people as if we're following Charlie Manson.
You just did the same thing to me.
Well, in all fairness, I said if this is the standard of our dialogue right now, the Democrat Party is far more of a cult than the Republican Party. That is not a contention that I think.
They want to bring people together by demonizing trans people and the rest of the LGBTQ community, demonizing immigrants and deporting as many people as they can. They want to bring us together as a country, guys.
throw around lightly, but it is you satisfy the requirements way more.
Purging the woke.
Than the MAGA movement
You
does.
haven't asked me enough questions to know that.
Well, that has nothing to do with what I've said.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
You haven't asked me if I would blindly follow some
Well, I'm
leader
not-
of the Democratic Party, which is no. I would only follow if I do the in-depth research of an unbiased source to get my information, and then I base my opinion
so
off of that.
Fair enough. Can you give me an example of an unbiased source?
I mean, like Mayo Clinic or just like any EDU source of college information.
I'll end this. If that's your idea of a bias,
Of course.
Off the top of my head.
I would encourage you to dig deeper and be more of a free thinker.
And I
Of course, Charlie Kirk would
conservative household, and once I left
scoff at the idea that an EDU site would be non-biased.
beliefs and I moved to college in a very conservative state, I actually become more progressive.
Okay, and so how is your relationship with your parents?
I mean, it's fine. We don't agree on most things, but
Wait, so they didn't kick you out for having a different opinion? They're terrible cult members.
Oh, wow.
Wait, they still love you for who you are, and do they pay your tuition?
Nope.
Okay,
I
well,
pay my own tuition. I pay everything on my own.
well, good. Then they're even better parents. They make you pay for your own stuff. The point, so you can't even point to your own family as being part of a cult. They still love you. They still talk to you.
I would go as far to say, and if they're watching this, I do believe that my parents are in a cult. But
Do you understand how damaging that is? To go around to say the people who raised you and nurtured you and brought you into the world that you're a cult because some professor told me the definition of a cult in an anthropology course.
Nope. You're wrong.
All right. Thank you.
It was nice to talk to you, though.
Thank you for your time.
I seriously wish I'd known he was there. I might have been able to make it's a few hour trip down to Knoxville. If I'd known he was there, shoo. But once again, you'd never see the clip of me talking to him on his YouTube. Another thing about cults is believing in wild conspiracy theories. Like, you know, there's this elite pedophile group that runs everything. However, Donald Trump, who was best friends with the elitist of pedophiles, isn't involved. Senator Kennedy, take it away.
Mr. Director, worry not. We'll make sure your agency is adequately funded. This judge you arrested in Wisconsin, she was breaking federal law, wasn't she?
Yes, that's why we arrested her.
She was helping an illegal immigrant escape being taken into custody. Is that right?
Yes, and the field agents decided to open the case, work the case.
And as Americans, do we get to pick and choose which laws we want to follow?
We do not.
If you're a state court judge, do you get to decide you don't want to follow federal law?
No.
And if you violate federal law, you get arrested, don't you?
Yes, Senator.
That's called equal treatment under the law, isn't it?
Yes, Senator.
What a fucking tie.
You remember Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, don't you?
Whoa! Oh my God! Do you guys know who he's talking about? This is the FBI agents from the FBI investigation in the first Trump administration. This is like 2017 bullshit he's going to.
Mr. Strzok worked for the FBI, Mr. Strzok worked for the FBI. I think Ms. Page worked for Justice. The Inspector General found in its investigation that they hated President Trump and they really wanted Secretary Clinton to win. Is that true?
That's correct, sir.
And we also had texts from several other agencies that hated Hillary and wanted Trump to win. Holy shit, dude.
This would be the same same Ms. Page who sent an email to Mr. Strzok with whom she was having an affair. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? And Mr. Strzok with the FBI, senior official at the FBI replied, quote, no, he won't. We'll stop it. Did I read that correctly?
You did, Senator.
Okay. Now, Miss Page got quit before she could get fired.
I've always assumed that meant we, as in the people. Perhaps it meant the FBI, as in the investigation that they are currently engaged in that looked like, Trump was guilty.
Mr. Strzok was fired. And predictably, they filed a lawsuit. Because in Washington, it's easier to divorce your spouse than it is to fire a federal employee. Why did the FBI give Mr. Strzok $1.2 million and Ms. Page $800,000?
Because they were wrongfully terminated.
Senator, I do not know that settlement was reached in the prior administration.
Who made the decision?
The prior Department of Justice.
Who in the prior Department of Justice?
The settlement for that kind of case can only come from the Attorney General, which would be Attorney General Merrick Garland.
So the Attorney General decided to give Mr. Strzok $1.2 million and Ms. Page $800,000 after they were fired after actively interfering in the 2016 election. Is that right?
My understanding is that was a settlement they agreed to.
Pass me the sick bucket, please.
Oh, my God.
The Hunter Biden laptop. In October of 2016, shortly before the election, the New York Post wrote a story that was widely covered talking about Mr. Hunter Biden's influence peddling scheme based on his laptop. A couple of weeks later, Secretary of State, soon to be Secretary of State.
I am so tired of hearing about Hunter Biden's laptop.
51 so-called intelligence experts had some real rock stars on the list. Jim Clapper, John Brennan, Michael Hayden, Leon Panetta, and they said, oh, no, the story in the New York Post is not true. It's based on Russian disinformation. You remember that?
I do, Senator, as the lead investigator for Russiagate for the House Intel Committee.
Yeah. The FBI had the laptop for 10 months, hadn't they?
They did, Senator.
So the FBI knew.
Good night, Lenny. Welcome in, Princess Kimberly. Or Prancing Goldfish, I'm sorry. Princess Kimberly, if you're here.
And
welcome into you, too.
Confirmed by the Inspector General's report.
Yeah. Who at the FBI refused to let the FBI tell the American people the truth?
I don't have that name in front of me, sir.
Well, would you look?
I will, sir.
I'd like to know. I'd like a name, not a division. I'd like the name. Person with a brain and a beating heart.
Yes, sir.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
No.
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When you think you'll have it done, Cash?
And pigs fly?
In the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Reid. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
The good reason why you ain't never going to see shit about Jeffrey Epstein. Joe Biden was on with The View earlier today. Let's hear from... Oh, God, it's Kennedy. It's another Kennedy. How many Kennedys are we going to see tonight?
The elderly man with a poor memory is on a rehab tour. Joe Biden escaping the nursing home this morning and shuffling his way over for a little chit-chat with the lovely ladies of The View. Watch this.
I bet they like you. They miss you.
Yeah.
I miss you.
I miss being here.
Yeah.
I'm actually interviewing for a job as a cameraman.
We just marked last week Trump's 100th day in office. Now he's calling for investigations and claiming the pardons are void and vacant.
Oh, he's vacant.
Why is he fixated on you and blaming you for everything?
I beat him.
Did you? Old man Joe also grumbling about the coup and the veep who failed him.
I think she's first rate, but we have a lot of candidates as well.
Why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised. They went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman.
No. She tied herself to you, and that's why she lost, among other things.
Some have even argued that leaving the race and endorsing your Vice President Harris, over 100 days before the election hampered her campaign.
There were still 6 full months.
No, there wasn't. What?
She was fully funded. Tom Shalhoub never looked so good. But enough with the malarkey. Let's bring out the real former president.
The people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us. He put in a full day, and then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone reading his briefings, working with staff.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Create a cocoon around him. I didn't have him, sequestered in some place.
Was that hurtful to you when they were describing you as Lady Macbeth and all of
Yes,
those?
it was very hurtful.
I don't give a shit.
It's actually Lady
It was
McBiden.
hurtful.
All right, correct yourself, please.
It's Dr. Lady McBiden.
Yeah, Dr. Lady McBiden. Joe Biden looked so upset there. Was it because he thought that Jill was talking about another man?
You think he looked up? I thought he looked asleep. He was just kind of had the stare.
Same
He had
face.
the old man stares. He was just looking, saw something, he just focused in on it. He's like, don't fall out of the chair. Don't do it. That's all. It's easy to make fun
And
of.
one thing, they're calling him Sleepy Joe when we just saw the current president fall asleep. You're in a cult.
I guess when you get out of the presidency, you're supposed to go give speeches for $100,000 at a time and enjoy it. I don't think he can do that. I don't think there's an audience for it. Maybe for Jill though, which is kind of funny.
Well, that's interesting because there is talk that they're going to sell the his and hers autobiographies for $30 million. That's half what the Obamas got, but that hers actually might be a little bit more interesting because she kept a diary every day, Jesse.
What is it with the Bidens and the diaries?
I was about to
They
say,
should
like her
stop
daughter.
writing stuff down.
Like his
Yeah,
daughter.
those two are definitely writing it. It's not ghostwritten at all. Not a chance. Now, if you're a man, a real...
What do you know about being a real man?
The View should not love you. The View doesn't like real men. So if the fact that Biden goes on The View and they adore him says a lot about Joe Biden. And I'm feeling like Dr. Jill is like Jordan Hudson, like Belichick's girlfriend. Constantly interference, constantly interrupting everybody, managing him. And it seems like Biden feels like OJ felt after the trial. It's like everybody knows you're bad. Everybody knows you did it. No one wants to be seen with you. This is the only show in this country that will sit down and actually like Joe Biden.
I doubt it.
He says that he knew she was going to lose, Kamala Harris. Well, then why did he bow out? If you knew she's going to lose, why didn't you stay and fight if you thought you could have beat Trump? So that was a lie. Or if you knew she was going to lose because the country's sexist, why'd you pick her as vice president? Because you were supposed to hand off this thing to the vice president. So why would you pick someone who you knew the country hated and was going to reject? Also, doesn't make any sense. When Bush left office, he was also unpopular. Not this unpopular, but unpopular. But
no, way more unpopular.
He said, I knew what I needed to do with the war on terror. I knew it was right. I stuck to my guns and will let history judge.
Bush was so fucking unpopular that I thought a Republican would never get elected to the presidency ever again in my lifetime. Woo, boy, was I wrong.
This guy is disgraceful. He should just never go back on television ever again. He was already diminished, but his legacy is just, it's even worse now.
All right, so Dana, he has hired a crisis PR person, a political insider he used to work with, who has now shifted gears, as you do, because you always have to have a revenue stream when you leave politics. Sure. So what is the point of them going out there? Is it just to craft a narrative against the multitude of books that are coming out talking about his cognitive decline?
I think certainly they have, if they have a lot of costs, right? In the post-presidency, and they're not getting the invitations to give the speeches that Joey's talking about, obviously. And like, remember he gave one speech and it was not good. And I can see why the Democrats are somewhat vocal now about not needing to hear from them again, but they are convinced that they need to. And the guy that they hired, great guy, like nice guy. In fact, I think his mom watches the 5, so hello to you, Mrs. Mayor. But I kind of feel it's like Groundhog Day with Joe Biden. Like every time he comes up, they see a shadow, and then it's another 6 weeks of bad press. And then Jill acts like the last soldier on the island after the war is over. She's like, no, actually, everything's still fine. Everything's great. We're still fighting. Everything's good. There were 50 sources who were talking to the press saying how bad it was, and they weren't Republican sources. They were sources inside the White House and in and around the campaign.
So now you guys care about...
It's not off to a great start, and it probably will end even worse.
Anonymous sources.
And, it was almost
credible.
like watching Dr. Jill intervene when she was like, did those, to Dana's point, did those people live in the White House? They did not.
Click here to subscribe to the...
They didn't even let Gutfeld speak. What did Gutfeld say? Kennedy was totally throwing to him. It must have been so offensive they cut it out. I don't know. Also, Kennedy can be my GOP mommy. Is AOC preparing to run for president in 2024?
Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well,
yeah, I bet. That's former Vice President Kamala Harris teasing her potential political future during her first major speech since leaving office. Now, sources say
her best bet is run for governor.
3 options going forward. She could decide on a gubernatorial bid in her home state of California, a third run for the presidency, or to not seek elected office at all.
Third is her best option.
Harris campaign official tells CBS News, quote, 75 million Americans voted for her. She's well positioned. As Democrats work toward finding their new messaging and identity, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been leading packed rallies around the U.S. with Senator Bernie Sanders. Her rising profile has some wondering if she might be the party's best.
I'm okay with AOC. I don't think that's...
Joel Payne is the man to talk to about all of this.
I don't think that's what's going to materialize. I think she's going to be in the Senate.
Joining us from our D.C. bureau. Good morning to you, Joel. Let's start with AOC. She may try to lead a House Dems on the Oversight Committee. You've got some high-profile retirements brewing as well. What do you think her political future is?
Errol, good to be with you. You know, she obviously was a candidate initially for that oversight ranking member spot for Democrats, and that initially went to Jerry Connolly, who recently decided to step back to focus on his health. I actually think that job might actually maybe be a little bit too small for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez right now. I'm sure she's considering it. She said publicly that she's weighing it. But it wouldn't surprise me if, given her expanding national profile, if she felt like she wanted to take that time to focus it on continuing to build a national brand, tell a national story, and build a broader coalition of support.
I mean, she really has been a rock star for Democrats since appearing on the national stage, really. And she was asked earlier this week about the articles of impeachment filed against President Trump by a Michigan congressman. Let's just share with our viewers what she had to say.
It should absolutely be on the table. It should be on the table for every president. Every president should know that if you break the law, you could be prone to removal.
So she says it should be on the table, but she didn't comment on whether or not she supported this specific move. Why do you think that might be?
I think she made the point there that a lot of Democrats feel you cannot take accountability off the table for any president and any elected official, for that matter. I don't think she's focused on that. And I don't think writ large, by the way, Democrats are focused on it. The Democratic leadership's not focused on it. Honestly, just as someone who works in the grassroots of the Democratic Party, I don't think the grassroots base of the party is focused on that. They are focused on continuing to build broad opposition to Donald Trump and to build grassroots energy behind a broader Democratic Democratic agenda that can actually defeat Trump and Trumpism at the ballot box in 2026 and 2028. And I think she did a good job of communicating that there.
Now, she raised nearly $10 million, which is just a huge amount in the first 3 months of this year. And she's polling favorably among Democrats and even released this campaign-style video as well. Let's show that.
All of us together, seeing our common cause, this is what this country is all about. Don't let them trick us into thinking we are enemies. Don't let them trick us into thinking we can be separated into rural and urban, black and white and Latino. We are one.
Good ad.
Might she be the standard bearer in 2028, especially with the rumblings of another attempt by VP Harris?
Errol, if you close your eyes and squint, who did that sound like? That sounded like Barack Obama sometime around 2006 and 7 and 8. Some of the language, some of the iconography that she used there. And listen, I've said for a long time, not only do I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of the best messengers, if not the best messenger in the party, I think she might be the best political athlete in the party. She has such a big future ahead of her. Everything from making big speeches in public platforms like she's been doing with Bernie Sanders on that Fight Oligarchy tour, to honestly some of the good faith leadership she's been doing on Capitol Hill. She is the rare Democrat that can be on Capitol Hill and that could be relevant in the halls of Congress and also have relevance and have connection out in the country with everyday people. She can hop on a bar stool in the Bronx. She can go out to a
She's been their top fundraiser for like 5 years.
She can be welcomed in the inner city in Chicago. She has a broad spectrum of support, and I think that is what you need for any successful politician to launch a national campaign. I'd keep an eye on her for 2028.
All right, yeah, not all people can appeal in those places. Joel Payne, we will certainly watch this space. Great to chat with you.
I still think that her presidential ambitions are next decade, but who knows? I mean, if it comes down to it, the Democrats don't have a very deep bench, so if they need to go with AOC, I'm behind it. If that's what materializes. As I've said, I kind of think Bernie is running. Ben Vox, welcome in. We're going to play a game. Are you guys ready to play a game? It's a new game. Representative Jasmine Crockett came up with it. It's called Trump or Trans.
You ready? Okay. So I'm going to ask. It's called Trump or Trans. You ready? Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You understand?
Got it.
Okay, very good. The first one, gutted medical research.
Trump.
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, a.k.a. deporting them.
Trump.
Driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
Trump.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
Trump.
Thank you so much. This committee could be engaged in actual oversight of fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement. So let's talk about waste. Like Trump's plan to spend almost $100 million for his little birthday parade. Or how he spent 25% of his first 100 days golfing, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. In fact, it's a little bit over 30 million at our last estimation. In fact, President Trump is on pace to spend more than $1 billion of taxpayer dollars just on golfing. Yet the Republicans have been silent.
He's doing it to salary.
Taxpayer dollars on the president's golfing trips is more important than providing health care to their constituents. And when I talk about constituents, we're going to talk about the ones on this committee.
Representative Jasmine Crockett letting them have it. That was the something fucking hearing on women's sports or whatever. But as I've said a million times here on this show, all this anti-trans panic, not only is it bigoted and hurts our trans homies, it hurts cis women. This idiotic trans panic hurts cis women. Don't believe me?
And offended after they were ordered to leave a high-end Boston hotel. As WBZ's Brandon Truitt reports, these women say it all started when a security guard challenged their use of a bathroom.
This couple says things went from 0 to 100 in an instant. A search of the bathroom allegedly led to both of them having to show their IDs to prove they were women before being kicked out.
It's just humiliating overall. Like I said, I didn't have my shorts tied even, and then just in front of everyone.
Ansley Baker is still emotional over what she says happened Saturday afternoon. Ansley and her girlfriend Liz Victor were in a restroom at the Liberty Hotel in Boston when they say a male security guard came in and started banging on the stalls.
And I looked down and I saw her shoes, and that's when I was like, wait, what is going on?
One of the security guards was there telling me to get out of the bathroom, that I was a man in the women's bathroom. I said, I'm a woman.
Ansley was born a woman, is a woman, and identifies as one, but says as she was escorted out of the restroom, comments were hurled at her from other women waiting in line.
Someone said, get him out of here, referring to me. He's a creep, also referring to me.
From there, the couple says the security guard asked for their IDs to check their gender. After presenting them, they say things grew heated before ultimately being told to leave.
Sue the hotel.
Security went in after several women alerted security of 2 adults sharing a bathroom stall, and that the couple was kicked out after one put their hands on our security team. The women vehemently deny it.
If that's what he thought the issue was once he opened the stall door, obviously there's only one person in there, so should have been kind of case closed.
Being harassed in public restrooms is a tale as old as time.
LGBTQ advocates like Nina Salvaggio say this couple's story is the result of ramped up rhetoric, with Massachusetts hate crimes hitting a 20-year high.
I do think the surge in national anti-trans rhetoric is contributing to an increased policing of women's bodies and their expressions of gender.
We're not the only ones that face this kind of thing, and just hope that it doesn't happen again.
Social media is lit up over this. The hotel here attempted to reach the couple Monday afternoon. They're still continuing their own.
This dude looks like he should be hosting some dude bro podcast instead of being a reporter, but good on him. He did a good job.
Investigation.
Nice mustache.
Brandon Truitt, WBZ News.
I feel like he looks like one of the Kill Tony guys. Tones, welcome in. Let's head out to Washington, where a locker room incident involving a trans student is now under investigation.
Virginia says he is asking the Attorney General to investigate Loudoun County Schools over its handling of an alleged incident.
I'm sorry, maybe this is Virginia. I saw NBC News Washington and assumed Washington State.
The governor of Virginia says he is asking the Attorney General to investigate Loudoun County Schools over its handling of an alleged incident involving
Loudoun County Schools. If you guys will remember back to COVID, I think that was the school that Matt Walsh went to and tried to do some grandstanding. They protested over mask policy, and there was a dude that was assaulted one time over. I wanna say that he stood up for trans kids and the police assaulted him there's been a lot of shit going on in Loudoun County.
a trans student in a boys' locker room.
Now, according to Governor Glenn Youngkin, 3 boys at Stonebridge High School were expressing concern about a transgender boy in the locker room, and the trans student allegedly recorded cell phone video of their reactions. Well, a lawyer for one of the 3 boys said they are the ones now under a Title IX investigation for sexual harassment.
But the school system is firing back, saying that the governor and the attorney general are misrepresenting the facts. News 4's Amy Cho.
Sounds about right.
The alleged incident happened in March in the boys' locker room at Stonebridge High School. According to the Founding Freedoms Law Center, 3 boys were allegedly complaining amongst themselves about the presence of a transgender boy. The trans student allegedly took cell phone video of the discussion, which is against school rules, and then filed a Title IX complaint against the 3 boys for sexual harassment. One boy's mom spoke last night at a Loudoun County school board meeting.
I'm here to speak on behalf of my son, who has been wrongfully accused of a Title IX violation. In truth, he is the victim of a Title IX violation.
The fuck?
Ignored and unsupported by the very system that is supposed to protect him.
The 3 boys facing the complaint are now being represented by the Founding Freedoms Law Center and are asking LCPS to drop the sexual harassment investigation.
These types of Title IX sexual harassment investigations can really derail.
So they were harassing somebody that was minding their own business in a locker room. They were the harassers. And now they're claiming they were the victims.
A young man's life, especially as they're going into college, starting a career. These have a way of really stigmatizing them, especially when they're unfounded, like this was.
News 4 has not been able to reach the transgender student involved or their family. They have not spoken publicly about what happened. It comes amid years of Loudoun County schools being in the national spotlight for its bathroom policy, which allows students to use the restroom matching their gender identity. Dad Seth Wolf says his son is also one of the 3 boys being investigated. Wolf wants LCPS to overturn the bathroom policy.
By allowing these policies to overlap, we are creating a very environment Title IX is meant to guard against. One,
bullshit,
confusion, mistrust, and unequal treatment. Students are left unsure of their rights.
Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin saying in a statement, students who express legitimate concerns about sharing locker rooms with individuals of the opposite biological sex should not be subjected to harassment or discrimination claims. And Attorney General Jason Miyares adding, this is just the latest example of what happens when school boards disregard common sense. The safety, dignity, and privacy of every student in Virginia should be non-negotiable. But Loudoun County schools are pushing back, saying they only investigate students when they may have violated the code of conduct, not for simply expressing their opinions. The county also said in a statement, LCPS will not engage in public discourse that misrepresents our policies or the facts of a student matter, especially when doing so compromises student privacy
Seriously.
And dignity.
I feel sorry for whoever the trans student is. They did the right thing. They reported the incident, and now they're going to be harassed.
Reject any characterization that implies our schools are unsafe or that we fail to protect the rights of all students. The Virginia Attorney General now pledging to investigate the school system. Amy Cho, News 4.
Made national news in May of 20.
News 4.
I cut her off.
Stonebridge High School also made national news in May of 2021 when a male student sexually assaulted a girl classmate inside a bathroom. LCPS passed bathroom policy 3 months after that. The attacker was transferred to Broad Run High School the following year, where he assaulted another girl there. He was convicted, as a juvenile in both of those attacks. And an independent review by a law firm found no evidence the attacker in that case was transgender.
That was the one of the parents that was at the Loudoun school board meeting was like arguing that it was a transgender person that assaulted his daughter. There was no evidence that they were trans. It was just a dickhead assaulting a girl. Insane. I gotta go take a tinkle and I don't have a Dan Crenshaw eye hole handy. Because, you know, I'd give anything to piss in Dan Crenshaw's eye pussy. When we come back from the other side of the break, we got video of a Newport Beach police shooting. We're going to tell you about a ding-dong ditch shooting. AI murder victim testifies in court. A Georgia man has been freed after being accused of kidnapping, but the video apparently proved he was innocent. And a lot freaking more on the other side of the break. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked sick aesthetic.
Not high enough for this shit.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to Justin Freakin.
Hey there, y'all. We're about to get stupid, locked into what that news beat doing. Fu Manchu and a slick bandana, colder than ice, smoother than Santana. Audio, video, chat and calls. Right-wing nut jobs haunt the halls. What you wanna watch? Hey, what you think? And there's only one choice. It's Justin Freakin.
The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the culture.
Light one up and tip one back. It's a right to be high. Let's grab a snack. It's fucking news, quit panic, attack, and play your cards right and get a titty slap. Jump in Discords, have some fun. The man will talk to everyone. Get high and try to debate. When shit pops off, chat thinks it's great. What do you think you're doing? Join the troll patrol. Wherever discourse is brewing, he gives it that southern drawl.
So let's go ahead and bring in Justin. Hey, Justin, how's it going, brother?
First of all, I want to say you're poser South. I'm in Alabama. I'm the real South.
Okay, all right. So why don't you tell us what it takes to be a man?
Well, I don't know. I'm in Alabama and I'll fuck a man in a dress. Why won't you fuck a man in a dress? Are you that insecure that you won't fuck a man in a dress?
That's fantastic. So you're okay with that, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Good.
Right-wingers are morons.
Light one hit and hit one back. One more click before we hit the set an alert when that shit goes live. Social fucking support and hit subscribe. Light one up and take a hit. He does no harm, but he takes no shit. He's the last one standing when the ship is sinking. Let's take another rip for Justin Freakin.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm Justin Freakin.
Not high enough for this shit.
I am not high enough for this shit. Gotta hit the content warning for this one. New video released in the deadly police shooting.
Details now on the police shooting that killed the brother of a former star on The Real Housewives of Orange County. Police releasing dramatic body camera video showing what led up to the encounter that turned deadly. Eyewitness News reporter Jory Rand.
Real Housewives of Orange County.
On the case. Jory.
Mark, tonight in a statement, the family of Jeffrey Sterling says he was in the throes of a mental health crisis when police shot and killed him. They say he was unarmed and backing away from an officer when he opened fire. That is in dispute both by Newport Beach Police and the facts shown in this video. Before we show it to you, though, we do want to warn you, it is disturbing.
Stop it!
Newport Beach Police releasing the video of the fatal shooting of Jeffrey Sterling, the brother of former Real Housewives of Orange County star Lydia McLaughlin. Sterling was shot and killed April 17th on West Coast Highway after grabbing an officer's taser during a struggle and trying to use it on him.
Stop it!
Sterling's final moments began with the running of a red light. The officer was right there and pulled him over.
Fully sober, I'm just trying to stay safe. People have been almost hitting me all day, sir.
What's that?
People have been almost hitting me all day. I've been trying to
Okay, you want to come over here and just take a seat right here?
No, I don't want to take a
Okay,
seat right
just
there.
I'm telling you, take a seat right here. Come here.
I don't care if you're telling me what.
The conversation went on like this for around a minute.
I'm not gonna shoot you. Don't reach.
He did shoot him.
Sit down, dude. We'll figure it out.
Finally, when the officer briefly turns his back, Sterling steps towards the officer and the two lock in a standing wrestling match. At one point, Sterling unholsters the officer's taser and then tried multiple times to use it, holding it directly to the officer's head. When the two separate, Sterling points the taser at the officer, who opens fire.
Stop it!
6 shots at close range. Sterling went down and was pronounced dead at the hospital. His funeral was held just this week, his family posting video to social media showing white doves being released. And tonight, after the video's release, Sterling's family issuing a statement that reads in part, "The videos have raised serious concerns and many questions about the actions of that police officer. Of grave and specific concern is the videos appear to show Jeff moving away from the officer at the time he was shot 6 times. The family, through their attorneys, plan to file a lawsuit in federal court to obtain full answers.
Now, I'm on the dude's side, but the video doesn't really show that now, does it?
When he was stopped for a traffic infraction, Jeff was unarmed and posed no deadly threat to the officer. So there is the crux of the argument right there. Was he armed or not? If in fact it's proven that he was holding the officer's taser, that legally generally is considered to be armed and dangerous. Those tasers have probes which can shoot out, and if they land, can incapacitate someone, which would then give someone the opportunity to take the officer's gun, which would be lethal force. That, of course, has to be proven. The video is not 100% clear because it is such a distance, and
that's the only thing.
Fell off during the process. That, of course, will likely now play out in the courts. Reporting live tonight.
It did appear that he grabbed his taser, but we don't know that for sure.
Jory, thank you.
It was kind of hard to see. Save on humans, but not on police. It might fry some bacon. A game of ding dong ditch gone horribly wrong. A homeowner shooting and killing a teen because they knocked on his door in the middle of the night. He's claiming that they were trying to rob him.
An investigation into a weekend shooting in Spotsylvania County. The entire community is debating the details of the case where 3 teenagers accused of breaking and entering a home on Mackenzie Lane were shot at. 2 of the teens were shot. One of them, a high school senior, killed. Northern Virginia Bureau reporter Drew Wilder explains why this story is drawing so much debate.
Is this the case of a homeowner defending their property legally against potential burglars? Or is this a case of a TikTok prank gone horribly wrong? Maybe it's even a little bit of both. These are the questions prosecutors here at the Spotsylvania County.
I don't like the idea it's a TikTok prank. Ding dong ditch is old as kids and fucking doorbells.
Prank gone horribly wrong. Maybe it's even a little bit of both. These are the questions prosecutors here at the Spotsylvania County Courthouse are trying to answer tonight. And at the heart of all of this mystery and all of the speculation taking place on social media, a teenager is dead. And his family tells me that their lives feel shattered. 18-year-old Michael Bosworth Jr. was a senior at Massaponax High School in Spotsy. His stepfather says Michael played lacrosse, football, and he wrestled. But at about 3 a.m. Saturday, just hours before the high school prom later that night, Michael was shot and killed by a homeowner on Mackenzie Lane. The homeowner, who has not been named nor charged with any crime, says Michael and 2 other teens tried to break into their house. News 4 knocked on the door of the home, but no one answered. Tonight, the spot.
He has been named and has been charged with second-degree murder.
Spotsylvania County Commonwealth's attorney is reviewing the evidence to determine if charges are appropriate or if this was a justifiable shooting. But here's where this story takes a turn. So there were 3 teens involved. Michael was shot and killed. A second teen, 17 years old, was grazed by a bullet. While that teen was in the hospital, detectives interviewed him. He said, "We weren't breaking in to try to steal anything." He told the detective they were doing ding-dong ditch pranks, recording them as videos. They were going to post them on TikTok. So that detective went and found the 3rd teen that was involved. That teen wasn't shot. He wasn't injured in any way. But that teen had the exact same alibi and even said, here's
the videos.
You'll find a video that we recorded at a different house doing the same prank earlier that night. The Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office has not said whether or not that alibi checks out, but of course, we'll let you know as soon as we learn more. Reporting in Spotsy, Drew Wilder, News 4.
There's too many goddamn guns. Too many people quick to use them. This is the homeowner. Here's the thing. The kid is white, the homeowner black. I didn't know that. I've still had the same position after finding out the races. That kids should not get shot because they're playing a prank. A homeowner is behind bars and a teen dead after a prank mistaken for a break-in resulted in shots fired at 3 a.m. Under the law, he may very well have a case. The victim was Michael Bosworth Jr. Tyler Chase Butler, 27, now facing charges of second-degree murder, malicious wounding, and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. Butler thought they were trying to break into his house when he encountered the teens in his yard. Police reported receiving a call of a burglary in progress and shots fired. According to the police report, the caller said 3 people tried to kick down a door per court records. But the teens insist there was no burglary attempt. After police arrived, the 2 surviving boys claimed they were filming a ding-dong ditch prank. After obtaining a search warrant for the teens' phones for more video footage, officers returned on May 6th and arrested Butler per a release from the Spotsylvania Sheriff's Office. According to the surviving teens, they were running away from the house to hide when Butler opened fire. Bosworth was shot in the torso, according to the police report. His high school prom was scheduled for that night. I don't think that has any new information. I don't think it does. But I mean, it's how the law is written in the state. I don't think there's a castle law in Virginia. Tones, they have video of it. They really were just doing ding dong ditch. That's why the cops arrested the guy. So if they were running away and he shot him in the back, then yeah, he should be charged. Maybe not with murder. That's a tough one. But ultimately, I'm going to come down on the side of, teenagers shouldn't get murdered for playing a prank. They're just dumb teenagers. New video shows a shooting interaction between a DoorDash driver and Chester Highways superintendent.
The video is definitely, disturbing to watch.
Reaction from Chester's town supervisor to the alleged action taken last week by another elected official, Highway Superintendent John Riley, who's accused of shooting a DoorDash delivery driver who was lost and asking for help. Brandon Holdridge initially issued a fairly neutral statement, but that opinion changed after seeing this doorbell video of the shooting that law enforcement is reviewing.
I can't imagine what was going through, minds in that scenario. It's really just of shock and disbelief.
A man believed to be Riley fires a warning shot, then aims at a car down the driveway, yelling, "Go." There are 2 additional shots, one that went through the victim's Toyota Corolla. It matches the sequence of events the 24-year-old told his family.
When he grabbed his firearm and he just started shooting at him and he thought his life was over.
Riley is back home after posting bail. An Orange County grand jury now deciding whether to indict the highway superintendent. Off camera today, relatives of the victim say they are outraged by the video and want justice. The victim remains hospitalized and will need to undergo a...
How you gonna shoot at your DoorDash driver? You know there's somebody coming with you place the fucking order. The worker is bringing you your fucking food. They are a saint. How are you going to shoot at them? Just because they were black?
Is definitely, disturbing to watch.
Reaction from Chester.
Oh, he wasn't at the right house. Oh, shit.
Town supervisor to the alleged action taken last week by another elected official, Highway Superintendent John Riley, who's accused of shooting a DoorDash delivery driver who was lost and asking for help. Holdridge initially issued a fairly neutral statement, but that opinion changed after seeing this doorbell video of the shooting that law enforcement is reviewing.
I can't imagine what was going through, minds in that scenario. It's really just of shock and disbelief.
A man believed to be Riley fires a warning shot, then aims at a car down the driveway, yelling, "Go." There are 2 additional shots, one that went through the victim's Toyota Corolla. It matches the sequence of events the 24-year-old told his family.
When he grabbed his firearm and he just started shooting at him and he thought his life was over.
Riley is back home after posting bail. An Orange County grand jury now deciding whether to indict the highway superintendent.
Seriously, Holidays. Everybody's trigger happy in this fucking country.
By the video and want justice. The victim remains hospitalized and will need to undergo a second surgery.
It's unfortunate that he was lost and his phone, apparently was on like 1% or something. I feel terrible for him. I hope that he makes a full and healthy recovery.
The family says they want Riley removed from his post as highway superintendent, something that can only happen through resignation. So far, no indication that Riley intends to step down from his elected position. In Chester, Marcus Solis, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Well, I'm not so outraged if it wasn't his DoorDash driver, but still. Stop being so quick to shoot people. A murder victim confronted his killer in the courtroom in one of the weirdest dystopian fucking stories we're going to ever do on this show.
An Arizona man who died after being shot in a road rage attack has made a victim impact statement to his killer at a court sentencing, brought back from the grave by artificial intelligence. Christopher Pelkey died in 2021 after he was shot approaching the car of Gabriel Horcasitas. But as his sister was preparing her own victim impact statement, she decided to give Chris a voice, creating the AI statement using previously recorded video, a picture and a script written. She says is reflective of him as a person. Take a listen.
Gabriel Horcasitas, the man who shot me. It is a shame we encountered each other that day in those circumstances. In another life, we probably could have been friends.
It's believed to be in the AI has been used to address a killer in court. The judge said he was deeply moved by the recreation, sentencing the defendant to 10.5 years.
The fuck? Was that a trailer for an episode of Black Mirror? I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. That's fucking wild. Arizona, wasn't it? It was Arizona. A Georgia man has been freed on bond. He's still facing charges of kidnapping, but apparently there's video that proves he didn't kidnap nobody.
Tonight, hundreds of supporters celebrated as a judge granted bond for 57-year-old Mahendra Patel, released after spending 47 days in jail.
It was a shocker. In fact, I didn't even realize why they were arresting me in the first place.
Patel is charged with attempted kidnapping of a minor, assault and battery, after Caroline Miller says he attempted to snatch her son at a Walmart outside of Atlanta on March 18th. But new surveillance video has put the entire incident in question. The 9 hours of footage provided to NBC News by Patel's attorney shows Miller on a mobility scooter with her 2 kids when a man approached. According to the police report, Miller says Patel asked her where the Tylenol was. Patel's lawyer says that as Miller stands to point to the Tylenol section, her 2-year-old son slips from her lap. His attorney saying Patel tried to stabilize the toddler, but Miller alleged something different.
I had to rip my baby out of some other man's hands because he was trying to snatch him.
Miller has not responded to NBC News' request for comment. The video then shows Patel walking off, his attorney pointing out he's later seen approaching Miller to show her that he had found the Tylenol as Miller appears to give him a thumbs up.
At the tail end of his interview, he said that he wanted to apologize to her for what he had done.
But the district attorney's office had a different take.
This defendant reached down and grabbed a 2-year-old child from the lap of a woman in a Walmart at 8:30 at night and attempted to pull that child from her lap.
The prosecution also pointing to Patel's criminal history, convictions in 2013 for felony conspiracy to accept bribes, and more recently for reckless driving, along with an alleged DUI case still pending. The judge deciding that Patel was not a threat to the community.
I think this is the first step in the right direction.
And Priya joins us now from Marietta, Georgia. Priya, what else did Mr. Patel have to say after he left court today?
If you're ever in Marietta, go to the Marietta Diner.
Interesting, because you would think that someone who believed that they were wrongfully arrested would have some sense of anger or bitterness, but the feeling overwhelmingly that he exuded was that of gratitude towards both his family, also his defense attorney and her team, and also the overwhelming amount of support that he's received from people around the world. As I mentioned, there were hundreds of people there at the courthouse today, and 47,000 people have signed a change.org petition demanding for his release and justice. Now, I did ask him if he believes that race was a factor in this case, and he said that that was a sensitive topic. I also said how he felt about Caroline Miller making those accusations, and he said he has no idea why she would say those things, but more immediately he said he was excited to go home, take a shower, eat some home-cooked food, and then in the future, of course, clear his name. Ellison?
Priya Sridhar, thank you. I want to bring in Ashley Merchant. She is the attorney for Mahindra Patel. Ashley, thank you so much for joining Top Story tonight. I want to start with the hearing. What was Mr. Patel's reaction to being granted bond and ultimately leaving jail today?
Oh my gosh, he was just so happy. You know, he hadn't hugged his daughter or his wife or any family members in 6 weeks. So he was just really happy to be out, you know, and I didn't realize that when he was arrested, it was winter. And I asked him, you know, do you have clothes at the jail for them to change you into? And he said, yeah, but when I was taken into custody, it was cold. It was winter. So, you know, he was in a thick sweater and, you know, sweatshirt. And it's like, you just kind of forget how long 40 some days are.
So when did you first start representing Mr. Patel? And in terms of this area, this period of time where he was behind...
Well, technically winter is last week.
Without any sort of due process, is that your understanding of what had happened thus far? When did you come onto this case? And do you believe that he was held in detention without proper legal representatives?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really unique case, you know, because there's a lot of fail-safes that we have in the criminal legal system that just failed him. And so it's really disappointing because normally, you know, he would have been accurately charged if he had been charged at all, you know. And so it started with the police sort of making a mistake by taking out the charges. And then they aggravated the charges. And so he was held without bond. And then I got involved soon after he was arrested and immediately started trying to get him bond, immediately reached out. I was hired within a week, you know, less than a week.
It was like a high of 58 or 59 or something today. Thank you very much, my lord.
Didn't happen, and asked them to look critically at it, and they just refused to do that. And then they were quick to judgment. They rushed the case to the grand jury, presented testimony to a grand jury, didn't show the grand jury the video, didn't show them all of the evidence in the case. And, you know, that really just...
Well, tell the weather that.
Patel being held without bond for such a long period of time. The biggest issue was that the state just would not consent to a bond, which is abnormal. You know, normally they will agree to a bond in a case like this.
Okay, so now he is out on bond, but there still is an issue of what...
Oh, yeah, DJ Dub, I'm in one of the boobies. It's the booby weather pattern this week. The two boobies went down each coast. Like in the center, like it's normal weather, but on the two coasts, it's cold.
Actually happened this day and the charges he's facing related to it. Priya Sridhar laid out your version of events in her piece there a bit. The mom, she was on a mobility scooter. She had 2 kids with her. According to the police report, Mr. Patel then asked her where the Tylenol was. You say that woman stood up to point out the Tylenol and her 2-year-old sort of slips from her lap. Mr. Patel, you say, tried to stabilize the child. What do you mean by stabilize? Are we talking he grabbed her? Did he lift the baby up? How did this play out?
Yeah, you know, I actually got the best sort of view of what I think happened when I talked to one of the witnesses. There's a gentleman in the video that you see in an orange shirt, and he was very close by. And how he described it to me was that the child reached out as though he was the child's father. So if you imagine a toddler, you know, a 1 or 2-year-old toddler, they're kind of wiggly. I mean, any of us, I've got 2 kids, they're kind of wiggly, and they regularly reach out to adults. And if you look at the video and then listening to what he said, because, you know, there's certain parts of the video that you can't see 100% clearly, but it does look like the child is sort of reaching for Mr. Patel. Mr. Patel says that he did reach back for the child, and it makes perfect sense if you have that viewpoint in your mind when you're watching it, that they sort of reached for each other. Mr. Patel went to lean in to reach for this child who, if he was actually like sort of leaning towards Mr. Patel, would appear like he is falling. Mr. Patel secures him. The mom says no, sort of pulls back, and the interaction is over. And that's exactly what you would expect to happen. You would expect someone to try to catch a toddler that they thought was falling. And then if the mother doesn't want that or says, I got it, then the gentleman would back off and everybody would go along their merry way. And that is what normally would happen. It's just this has been taken out of proportion and someone has created a crime where a crime didn't happen.
So if it was the case that she said no and he left, why in the surveillance video did he later appear to kind of come back and interact with her? I know you described that moment as him saying, I found the Tylenol, but why go back to someone who has clearly set a boundary and said, no, please don't?
He actually had to walk past her to get to the checkout. And so at that point, she hadn't been, and she's admitted it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, hey, no, I don't want your help. When he had offered the help, that she didn't want the help. He actually passes her 3 different times in about a 5-minute span after this alleged interaction took place. And she doesn't say or do anything. I mean, she's laughing with another gentleman immediately thereafter, right after this happened. She's talking with another Walmart employee.
What caused her to report this to the cops then?
Hey, I found the Tylenol, because she had been part of his mission to try and find that Tylenol. And she gives him a thumbs up. It means it's just a normal type of interaction that you would expect to see 2 people having when there's no...
Well, it says she stands up, and that's how the kid falls out of her lap. I don't want to say she didn't look disabled from her picture. They showed her picture earlier in the... This is her. But that's also ableist of me, because there's disabilities that, aren't visible.
I got it, then the gentleman would back off and everybody would go along their merry way. And that is what normally would happen. It's just this has been taken out of proportion and someone has created a crime where a crime didn't happen.
So if it was the case that she said no and he left, why in the surveillance video did he later appear to kind of come back and interact with her? I know you described that moment as him saying, I found the Tylenol, but why go back to someone who has clearly set a boundary and said, no, please don't?
He actually had to walk past her to get to the checkout. And so at that point, she hadn't been, and she's admitted it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, hey, no, I don't want your help. When he had offered the help, that she didn't want the help. He actually passes her 3 different times in about a 5-minute span after this alleged interaction took place. And she doesn't say or do anything. I mean, she's laughing with another gentleman immediately thereafter, right after this happened. She's talking with another Walmart employee. And then when Mr. Patel is walking out of the store, he shows her, hey, I found the Tylenol, because she had been part of his mission to try and find that Tylenol. And she gives him a thumbs up. It means it's just a normal type of interaction that you would expect to see 2 people having when there's no crime occurring.
She told 911 in her call to dispatch that Mr. Patel tried to snatch her child. Why would she use such strong language, do you think, if this didn't occur in the way that if it occurred in the way you're saying it did?
I think that is the $1 million question.
It is.
I think, after 30 minutes, she had 30 minutes and said, oh, he tried to snatch my baby, but I got my baby back. And, that's not what happened. But I think it was taken out of context. And then I think nobody went back.
Did she think that maybe she could start a GoFundMe or some shit?
Looked at the videos critically and nobody went back and talked to the witnesses critically, and it just elevated from that. But I think it's very telling that she waited 30 minutes to call.
The state says the video does not tell the entire story. They also claim that there are some witnesses who say Mr. Patel appeared intoxicated. Was he intoxicated or drinking that day?
No, and that's, they say
he didn't seem intoxicated, but it's hard to tell from a video. And we do have, apparently he likes to do a little drinky poo and do some driving, which apparently that's a thing a lot of people in this country do. So even if he was intoxicated, apparently he had a headache.
Say that, but they don't actually say any witness said that. And we've talked to the witnesses and nobody mentioned that. And the people, they were face to face with Mr. Patel. And so if there was any alcohol or anything like that, they would have been able to smell it.
He doesn't look to be stumbling or anything.
Anything that any single person has said. So it seems as though the state made that up out of whole cloth. And there's just no evidence of that. Plus, we have a video of 11 minutes where Mr. Patel is walking around this Walmart. There are 4 different people that he talks to, 4 different employees, plus the gentleman in orange, that all talk to him. And nobody says anything was awry. So I think it's just something that seems to have been made up out of whole cloth.
Ashley Merchant.
Smoky buddy.
Patel, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening. We will be continuing to follow this case as it moves forward. Thank you.
What an insane case. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester.
Breaking news and...
My apologies. Now, depending on how this next story goes, I may or may not be on the side of somebody. Listen. The argument was over a cat. So if they were defending their cat, then I'm okay with him stabbing somebody 24 times. I don't know what the details are. I don't know if the person that did the stabbing was the one defending the cat, or if it was the cat owner got stabbed. I'm on the side of the cat owner, whoever it is.
Shocking new details in the stabbing death of a British nursing student on Houston's South Side. Elizabeth O'Dunsey was killed just over a week ago.
And now that student's roommate, 40-year-old Chester Grant, is charged in her murder. He's being held on a $500,000 bond at the Harris County Jail.
Orko Manna joins us live from there. Orko, you've been covering this case for days, and you're now
mess with my fucking cat.
Violent the stabbing was.
Yeah, Mia, we've learned that Grant is accused of stabbing O'Dunsey more than 24 times inside their apartment over an argument about his cat. Now O'Dunsey's family is hoping to move her body back to...
Okay, see, if she did something to the cat, she deserved to get stabbed 24 times. That's what I'm saying.
The UK.
I'm about to graduate, and I really wish I had this during nursing school because it definitely would have helped.
23-year-old Elizabeth O'Dunsey often posted videos like this on her popular TikTok page, detailing her time in nursing school after moving to the US from the UK. This video of her dancing, mentioning being 2 weeks out from graduation, is the last post she made. It was uploaded just 5 days before O'Dunsey's life was cut short. Houston police say O'Dunsey was stabbed to death on April 26 inside her apartment on Goforth Street by her roommate, 40-year-old Chester Grant. Homicide detectives tell me the killing stemmed from an argument about his cat from days earlier.
Mr.
Grant, now charged with murdering O'Dunsey, appearing in probable cause court this weekend.
The allegations in this case allege he stabbed his female roommate 28 times, killing her over some disagreement over his cat. So this is...
Was she harming the cat?
Extremely brutal murder with an extensive history of violence, which I find to be an extreme danger to the community.
A bandage seen on Grant's neck. Police tell me Grant tried taking his own life after killing O'Dunsey, stabbing himself at least 6 times, including in the neck. The judge also saying Grant has had multiple arrests and convictions for violence from out of state. O'Dunsey's loved ones creating this GoFundMe page saying, quote, she moved from the UK to the United States to pursue her dream of becoming a nurse, dedicating herself to a life of care and service, and that their, quote, goal is to bring Tammy home from the United States to the UK so she can be laid to rest surrounded by her family and loved ones.
Is the cat okay?
Yeah, just heartbreaking for that family. Grant was scheduled to be in court today, but he did not appear because he's still waiting for a court-appointed attorney. Reporting live from the Harris County Jail this afternoon, Orko Manna, KHOU 11 News.
Yeah, my lord, I feel like I did the story of how the cats got their names at the beginning of the show last night or night before. If Holiday says it was last night, I'll assume it was last night. Crix was like, oh, this is wholesome content. I was talking about how long I'd had them and the story of how they came to me and everything. I'll tell it again soon. I'll make sure you're here next time I tell it. Tomorrow night when we do requests. Or grab the VOD. I don't know that because I've been doing so much other shit that the like, you know, has copyright material, the VODs usually don't get published anymore. You got to go to like YouTube. I try to go in and remember to publish them on Twitch because some people watch them on Twitch. I ain't gonna stop you if you want to watch a VOD on Twitch. I just gotta remember to do it. I'm sorry. The fucking damn copy. And you know what it was? It wasn't Entertainment Tonight last night. It was that video of the dude whipping the guy with the belt. So unfortunately, if you go, like, whoever took the video sold that to Storyful, and you can't use that video, like, and get monetized, right? It's the dude whipping the guy with the belt at the Pirates game. I was going to make a clip of that. I was totally going to put that up on YouTube. But what the fuck is going on in Pittsburgh with the Pittsburgh Pirates fans? A Pittsburgh Pirates fan got up in some dude's face, a worker at the ballpark, and ends up getting punched and then whipped. Dude took off his belt, whipped a grown man. Like a week or two before that, we watched a fan fall out of the stands. We have new video of a Pirates fan who fell 21 feet and exactly what led to the accident. It's the Pits. Minty, good evening.
KDK just received new video showing what happened when a man fell more than 20 feet from the stands at PNC Park last week. This video is from a fan who was sitting behind Kevin Markwood. You can see he jumped into the air.
Oh, wait, he was just jumping up to celebrate. Maybe he was a little intoxicated or something and just went whoop.
Received new video showing what happened when a man fell more than 20 feet from the stands at PNC Park last week. This video is from a fan who was sitting behind Kevin Markwood. You can see he jumped into the air, apparently celebrating a play. And as he came down, his abdomen hit the railing. He flipped over, falling down onto the warning track below. Well, it comes as we're learning Markwood is making steps toward recovery.
Oh, I thought he died.
He took his first steps since the accident. He remains in the hospital with a broken neck, collarbone, and back.
Oh, ow. I gotta watch it again.
Just received new video showing what happened when a man fell more than 20 feet from the stands at PNC Park last week. This video is from a fan who was sitting behind Kevin Markwood. You can see he jumped into the air, apparently celebrating a play. And as he came down, his abdomen...
No, it looks like he's just like hopping up, like being like, woo! And just being stupid.
Railing, he flipped over, falling down onto the warning track. Well, it comes as we're learning Markwood is making steps toward recovery. Family members say he took his first steps since the accident.
I'm thinking he had a few. Smokey, buddy. He's being very needy tonight. I've had Smokey and Socks since about 2016. They were both already named Smokey and Socks, so I guess Smokey because he's gray and Socks because he looks like he has socks on. But I had to retool their names a little bit. Smokey Bong and Socrates. I happened to, this is when I was living in Alabama. I had a friend in Johnson City where I went to college. They posted about 2 cats that needed homes. They were like neighborhood cats that were being taken care of by a family in the neighborhood. Like they were kind of strays that came around and like one family had kind of taken them in, but they apparently had multiple kids and they had another baby. And they didn't really have, the bandwidth to care for a couple cats. And the neighbors all really liked the cats, right? Because fucking Smokey and Socks are awesome. And so the neighbors like, oh, we want to find him a good home. And it was a friend of a friend. So the friend vouched for me. And she's like, oh, yeah, Justin will absolutely love those cats and take really good care of them. And I did. And I thank the dude that brought him to me as well. I wasn't off work. I offered to meet him halfway because it was like a 8-hour drive. Smokey's why you followed started subbing? Aww. It was like an 8-hour drive, so I offered to meet him halfway over the weekend, but because I wasn't off work, he's like, well, if you will take them, I will drive them down to you like tomorrow. And I was like, if you want to, and yes, I absolutely will take them. And I was living in a little studio apartment at the time, so because I got the cats, it inspired me to go to, I got a 1-bedroom, and that's when we were living up on Montesano, that's a national forest. I had a fenced-in, or a screened-in back patio. And that I feel so sorry for Smokey because he loved that patio. He loved going out on that patio. Like, he would knock on the door. Like, when it was too hot for me to open the door, too cold, he would still want to go out and be on the patio. One night I went to see, I think it was Devin Townsend in Nashville, and he had went out on the patio when I was getting ready, and I forgot all about him, and I left him out there while I was gone. It didn't get too awfully cold. It was like 30 degrees. I felt so bad when I came back in. He was very pissed at me. But I had a couch out on the back patio. And a porch couch. And he loved laying out on that couch. He loved being outside. And when we stayed with Curiouser for a few months, at first I let him go out with all the rest of the cats would go out because she lives out in the boondocks in the middle of nowhere and has a little courtyard. All the cats would go out and roam around in the yard and shit. Smokey got lost. I lost Smokey for 8 days. 8 days. We had to trap him in a live animal trap. So ever since then, I do not I'll walk him out on the porch every now and again, let him get some air or something. But ever since then, he does not even get a whiff of the outside. When my groceries get delivered, I put him in the bathroom when I'm opening the door because you are not getting out again. Because he got out a couple times when I lived in Alabama, and he goes feral. I'm lucky he came back the 2 times he got out in Alabama. I just put Socks and Maynard up and left the door open. I had to leave the door open, and eventually Smokey would wander back in. That's how he came back both times. So you don't get any outside time. I'm in a good state, my lord. Did you miss that earlier when I was talking about that was the best senator I've ever had in my life, and then he came on and started talking about Bible verses and shit, and I'm like, aww. Yeah, I live in a blue state now. Well, I moved to Charlotte, which was a purple state. Then it voted for Trump. Ugh. But then I had to move again because of the unpleasantness. Okay, see, now I don't know if this is Washington State or Washington, D.C., because I got confused earlier. Yeah, I think this is Washington, D.C., because this is the same news station. Oh, it's Loudoun County. It's the same same school system.
The mother of a 5-year-old boy subjected to racial slurs in a now viral video is asking the Loudoun County School Board to take stronger action tonight. That mother says the video was made by an LCPS 6th grade boy off school grounds and shared with others. As our Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey reports, the mother was joined by others tonight from the Asian American community who are also calling for a more direct response.
Even though she stepped forward to speak at a public meeting, the 5-year-old boy's mother has asked us not to show her face to protect her child. Her message to the school board: do more to address racial harassment.
I'm here to ask, what are you going to do to make sure this never happens again?
The mother joined
fucking nothing. That's what they're going to do.
a similar message. Some of the signs bearing the words, "Don't hurt me." That's what the 5-year-old was heard saying in the now viral video that set off a firestorm. The boy's parents say their preschooler was videotaped by a 6th grader, the older boy using racially derogatory slurs, the younger boy calling out for help.
This little short over here. No! Don't hurt me! Yeah, this don't hurt me!
The principal of the middle school attended by the older boy sent out a statement promising the community that even though the video was made off school grounds, the incident is being handled with the, quote, seriousness it deserves. And Superintendent Aaron Spence sent out a strongly worded statement to the entire LCPS community, which reads in part, "We must teach our children to see their classmates and their neighbors not as others, but as fellow human beings deserving of compassion and respect." But some community members asking for an even stronger response.
It kind of shows that even with all this diversity, that there's still this sort of underlying discrimination and this sort of watering us down to cultural stereotypes.
Irene Chen is an attorney representing the 5-year-old's family.
Make this a teachable moment for the schools and show that
a teachable moment
about this type of racial bullying.
News 4 has received email messages from people who say they know the 6th grader's family. They say there is a longer video that may provide more context around the boys' interaction. News 4 is asked to see the video and also is seeking comment from the 6th grader's family. While the 5-year-old's mother and others who spoke here tonight want assurances that disciplinary action is being taken at the middle school, LCPS policy and privacy laws prevent administrators from sharing that information. In Loudoun County, I'm Julie Carey, News 4.
I can see if I can find the video. It's not popping up here. I mean, the story popped up, but the video did not. You know, they didn't take that shit off of Twitter. Yeah, I've not seen the original video. But I mean, watching a little kid get abused is not exactly probably not the best use of our time. Let's go to this road rage incident. I hope this one involves a machete. Oh, God, it does not. Oh, whoa. Holy shit. Just the first second of the video played and got that reaction from me. Oh, wow. Here you go. This is a road rage incident, a viral hit and run caught on camera. This was Beaverton, Colorado.
A horrific hit and run caught on camera in Oregon.
Beaverton, Oregon.
Highway in Beaverton on Monday morning shows a motorcyclist in the center lane gesturing at a Kia Carnival van to his left. The van sharply swerving right, hitting the motorcyclist, sending him flying onto the shoulder before speeding off. The family of the 21-year-old victim says he was trying to communicate with the driver after a couple of close calls.
The van had almost hit him twice already. And my brother was trying to be like, well, like, do you not see me? What is happening? And then the driver made eye contact with him and jerked the wheel.
Corey's family says he suffered a concussion and bruises, showing his cracked helmet that might have saved his life.
The driver hit.
Seriously, always wear your helmet.
My son's clutch lever went through the complete side of his steel-toe boots. That's how bad he hit him. And threw up 250 feet.
I just saw someone die in front of me.
Lucy Brissack says she witnessed the incident and stayed with Corey until help arrived.
That's someone's baby. And if my daughter
Smokey, please.
I would want someone to step up and take care of her if I couldn't be there.
Police asking for the public's help tracking down the driver. A tip from someone who had seen the dash camera footage leading them to that Kia with scrapes at the point of impact.
We received a tip about the whereabouts of the van, and we were able to locate it right as the suspect came out and got into the van and started to drive away.
Police arresting Samir Helio Pizzotto Philo, charging him with second-degree assault.
Samir Helio Pizzotto Philo. Samir Helio Pizzotto Philo.
Pizzotto Philo, charging him with second-degree assault, hit and run, reckless driving, attempted assault 1, and unlawful use of a weapon, according to police. Investigators say they have reason to believe Pizzotto Philo, quote, had been driving recklessly in the days prior to the incident. We were unable to reach Pizzotto Philo for comment.
I think it's really hard to watch just because it's so deliberate.
Well, he's probably in the jail, right?
And I don't know who could do that. Like, I just don't understand who has that within them to do that.
Yasmin Vasugian, NBC News.
God damn.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester. Nobody asked you a goddamn thing. That one caught me by surprise. I didn't know it was coming. Spectacular video of a 21-year-old pilot. Yeah, I'm coming for Major Garrett now. We've bullied Lester into retiring. Let's make Major Garrett our next target. Wild video of a 21-year-old pilot making an emergency landing on a golf course.
See that off in the distance? It's a small plane, and it's about to make an emergency landing.
I thought it was Superman.
On one of the nation's most iconic golf courses. The players can't believe what they're seeing.
Oh, we've seen Lester's son before.
The Riviera Country Club in Los Angeles. And here's the babyface pilot who showed the right stuff. He's just 21 years old. He says his engine just conked out.
And that's when I decided to make the Mayday call to the airport and started immediately looking around for places to land.
We got 2 souls on board. We're going to try to make a field up here. There's not many good spots to land, so
2 souls.
We're going to do our best.
Tyler Evans only had his pilot's license for 6 months.
At first, I saw a little soccer field to the left of me, and there's kids playing soccer. My passenger pointed out that there's a golf course ahead.
The landing wasn't easy. So who did he call first? Mom, of course.
I just had to make a landing at a golf course. Everything's okay because I didn't want my mom to freak out. And then she called me back about 10 minutes later after seeing everything all over the news, bawling her eyes out.
I mean, good on him. Great job.
Nation's most iconic golf courses. The players can't believe what they're seeing as the plane comes in for a landing at the Riviera Country Club in Los Angeles. And here's the babyface pilot who showed the right stuff.
I'm sorry about that, Michael.
Old. He says his
I hate to hear that.
Just conked out.
And that's when I decided to make the Mayday call to the airport and started immediately looking around for places to land.
We got 2 souls on board. We're going to try to make a field up here. There's not many good spots to land, so we're going to do our best.
Tyler Evans only had his pilot's license for 6 months.
At first, I saw a little soccer field to the left of me, and there's kids playing soccer. My passenger pointed out that there's a golf course ahead.
The landing wasn't easy. So who did he call first? Mom.
Yeah, seriously, Kevin, in one piece.
How to make a landing at a golf course. Everything's okay.
The plane probably didn't sustain much damage, if any.
About 10 minutes later, after seeing everything all over the news, bawling her eyes out.
I mean, great job to him. You ain't getting me up in one of those fucking flying coffins. Who's hungry? Anybody in the chat hungry? Perhaps you want some Burger King. BK, have it your way. Can you really have it your way, though? Can you have it your way if what you want is, you know, what they're showing you in the commercial? Apparently not. That's what this lawsuit is over.
All right, look at this side by side. There it is. There's a burger on the left. There's a burger on the right. Okay. Do they look the same to you? What do you think? Well, a judge has some thoughts on this, which is why that judge is now green-lighting a lawsuit against Burger King, allowing it to move.
Well, I can tell you as a photographer, the burger on the right, like, you could not eat that burger because that's not actually a burger. They did not photograph an actual burger for that picture.
What do you think? Well, a judge has some thoughts on this.
It's probably not even a burger.
Now green-lighting a lawsuit against Burger King, allowing it to move forward after 19 customers in more than a dozen states sued, basically arguing they were sold Whoppers in more ways than one. Duped, they argue, by ads that, according to the suit, make it look like the burgers are about 35% bigger, with more than double the actual meat than the real burger itself.
Well, I believe that.
Denies all this. I want to bring in Sam Brock, who's joining us now. You know, the judge in this case says the alleged false advertising goes beyond exaggeration here, which is why the green light now is moving forward for this. What does that mean?
What it means, Hallie, is in the judge's own words, idealized imagery is something that is commonly used in the world of food advertising, which is to say that BK could reasonably argue consumers know better than this and wouldn't be fooled if there's a slight difference between what's in an ad and what they're actually purchasing.
Slight difference.
What the judge is saying in this case is it seems to be so egregious that they should be able to move forward. Now, here's the top line in all of this story. He's allowing the lawsuit to proceed. It doesn't mean that Burger King is guilty of any sort of misleading consumers or the public. It just means they're going to be taking next steps here.
Now, DJ Dub, we can make 35% equal double. Well, all we got to do is a little Steiner math.
But then you take my 75% chance of winning and then add 66 and 2/3%. I got 141 and 2/3 chance of winning.
Did everyone see his take on the gorilla thing? Multiple people sent it to me. I'll have to show you if you haven't seen it.
Things like discovery, potentially certifying a class action lawsuit. And many folks at home might be asking, what's the difference between this case and one that came up a couple of years ago?
With Subway.
McDonald's and Wendy's, which was dismissed, where a similar argument was being staged. And the judge says twofold. One, the extent of the exaggeration, as you already mentioned, 35% is what the plaintiffs are asserting here in terms of the difference between the advertised burger and the real burger, but also that back in 2017, if you look at what Burger King's ads look like before that point in time and then after, it's again so exaggerated that the consumer could reasonably argue that Burger King over the course of the last several years just decided to make their hamburgers larger when in fact that may not be the reality. So we spoke with an attorney, by the way, who is representing the majority of those 19 people. And we asked him, what are you trying to achieve in all this? And he said, honestly,
oh yeah, that Big King just looked pathetic. That looks pathetic.
People. And we asked him, what are you trying to achieve in all this? And he said, honestly, transparency in advertising. Take a listen to our conversation.
What is the upshot of the lawsuit?
It's to get everybody their day in court, to get everybody.
Yeah, there was a Subway case, right, Tones? Now I remember there was the Wendy's McDonald's was dismissed, but there was a Subway, like the footlongs weren't actually footlongs. They were like 11.5 inches or some shit.
The justice they deserve, whether it's $8 or
okay, that's what it was.
$1 million. It's everybody should be treated fairly. No one should be taken advantage of, and companies should not be allowed to get away with doing things like this that are counter to what the public deserves and what the public asked for.
Hallie, Burger King had a very strongly worded response to this lawsuit.
Of course they did.
And now what they said is the plaintiff's claims here.
When I was helping Curiouser the other day, we needed to stop and get some food. She bought some Burger King for me in exchange for me helping her that day. She made it up for it. She was like, I didn't take you to a good dinner. I'm going to get you Dippy Tacos tonight. That's how we ended up with Dippy Tacos. But we went to Burger King that one day. I thought it was, like, I hadn't been to Burger King in like 10 years. I thought it was fine. I had chicken fries and Whopper Jr. or whatever, something off the dollar menu. There's like a pick 3 menu or something. The chicken fries were fine and dandy. The burger was all right. She said it sucked. So I don't know what anybody's opinion on Burger King is. I'll take Burger King over McDonald's.
Are false. The flame-grilled beef patties portrayed in our advertising are the same patties used
the trio menu
we serve to our guests across the United States. Going back to
I wish I hadn't have done that and wish I'd gotten something, more substantial. I didn't realize the burger was like itty-bitty.
So now he said that he rejects.
Yeah, wait a minute. I was false advertised too on the fucking menu. The burger looked way fucking bigger. I got it. It's like a little...
99% of the plaintiffs who come to him and want to bring some sort of action, he said, in this case, however, it passes the eye test, and that's why he chose to proceed.
But that's what's so interesting, because as we talk about any ad, Sam, right? Like, of course, it's an ad. The point is to make your stuff look good, whatever it is you're selling. Yeah. And this is all about the line between, let's say food styling, what is industry standard food styling, and what is sort of inappropriate, or as this judge and these plaintiffs are saying, what is exaggerated, right?
I think that's exactly right. It's all about expectations. And the argument, again, from Burger King would be, look, as a consumer, you would just think that you're not expecting the exact replica of what's the best version that's portrayed out on the airwaves, or, when you look at those little boards in the restaurant. However, the client in this case, or I should say the plaintiffs, are arguing that it was so badly misrepresented that it's unjust, and Burger King needs to change its advertising.
Sam Brock, on the burger.
I mean, I thought the McDonald's Wendy's case was correct. I thought, all this advertising is deceptive. I always side with the people on things like this. I don't... When you hear me talk about fast food, remember that I only have fast food once in a goddamn blue moon. I cook for myself all the time. So, first time I'd had Burger King in maybe 10, 15 years. Last time I had McDonald's probably when I worked at a TV station in 2016, because we had a McDonald's. It was one of the 3 restaurants that was close. So I had to go to McDonald's. We had Wendy's the other day. I needed a snack. And I had Curiously run by Wendy's, and I got 3 orders of chicken nuggets. The spicy chicken nuggets. They were good. And a Shamrock Frosty. The Frosty was really fucking good. I was into that, but that was the first time I ate at a Wendy's in 10 years. I've never ate at a Bojangles in my life. Chef Mario Cooks, welcome in. Free virtual hamburgers for everyone. Did you know we were talking about a hamburger? Did you just get here? We were just doing the Burger King case. Let's shift gears. Let's do a little music. Any Bad Company fans in the crowd? Anytime I hear Bad Company, all I can think of is that scene in Sunny in Philadelphia where Dee tries to do a little strip tease and she's dancing really bad because Bad Company's playing in the background. But they did some good shit, apparently.
Education through music. That's what Adopt the Arts Foundation strives to do every day. Co-founded by Emmy Award-winning actress Jane Lynch and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame drummer Matt Sorum of Guns N' Roses, The Cult, Velvet Revolver. The foundation is out with a new project. 85 elementary school kids from underserved communities.
Oh, you're a streamer? Welcome in, Chef. What, are you looking for somebody to argue with? Is that what brought you here? I'll argue with you. Or you want to talk about food? We'll argue about food. Argue which restaurants are better or something. Ah, shit.
Valley area, getting a once-in-a-lifetime experience singing the Bad Company hit Rock and Roll Fantasy with the lead singer of Bad Company, Paul Rogers, and Sorum.
That's fucking awesome.
Foundation calling the kids Change Angels or Changels, as you see on their shirts. Listen.
Put your hands together now and sing it out loud.
Hell yeah, kids.
Oh, I like that little arm pump from the kid. They're getting into it. Joining me now is Matt Sorum and Paul Rogers.
Hell yeah.
Guys, thanks for being here on a Sunday. Paul, I got to start by saying congratulations on the recent announcement this past week that Bad Company will be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, shit. I didn't even hear that.
That must be an amazing feeling, is it not?
Thank you very much. It's a great honor
Thank you so much.
All right. And Matt, you reached out to Paul to help you with this experience. What's the purpose of having the kids be part of this whole entire process? You know, going to the studio, recording with two great rock stars. What's the purpose?
Well, inspiration. You know, they get that inspiration that inspires them in their daily life. You know, music, as we all know, is just a great healer.
Hell yeah, my friend. Welcome in over on the Twitch.
We all love music, and kids discover that they have a talent and they can sing, and it just opens up their entire imagination and creativity.
Paul, when you got the call and it was described to you, this is what we're going to do in the studio. We're going to bring the kids in, going to do a Bad Company song. What was your first thought? What did you think about the whole project?
It should have done Shooting Star.
Well, I thought it was great. I think it's fantastic because music meant so much to me as a kid growing up. It gave me focus and a sense of direction and a discipline. And music is just such a part of everybody's life. And I think it's great.
And Paul, I heard that you gave each of the kids, this is a really unique detail, you gave each of the kids a $20 bill. What was the significance of $20?
Well, we wanted to demonstrate to them.
Cheapskate, you got
more. You can actually make a living at this lark of making music, you know. And they were so proud. And their voices are so pure. It was great.
Yeah, I've heard other musicians talk about the first time they, got $5, $10, $15 for whatever they played, and they just say, wow, it must be an incredible feeling. Matt, why was it important for you and Jane to start Adopt the Arts Foundation in the first place? And this is your latest project, but you do a lot of other things throughout schools.
Yeah, we've been working on Adopt the Arts for almost 12 years now. Jane Lynch was my neighbor in West Hollywood. So we started in LA.
Fucking Jane Lynch. Okay. I was trying to figure out, she was a guest star on the Connors, and I could not remember her fucking name. I was like, I know her name. Who is she? Jane Lynch. That's her.
Years. And then I moved to Palm Springs with my wife. We got married here 11 years ago. And I just felt like I could really make a lot of impact in the community, because the community of Palm Springs is already arts driven. It's, famous for great artists being here, musicians. So I really scaled quickly here. I've got 4 schools here now. We're going to add 2 more next year. I've got a great partnership with the public school system. So we're in the public school system during the day serving these kids. The Changeless Choir is an honor choir. So we are up to 85 kids. And the idea with the name Changeless is the kids learn about being a part of the community, giving back. They've gone out and done major events. They just played at the USS Iowa, and they're going to go do Fleet Week. They do a lot of things. And now they're meeting these great rock stars like my friend Paul Rogers, who's a winter resident of Palm Springs. And we're going to continue this pattern of videos and music projects with the kids to just, number one, get them, educated on great music. Right. And the great classic rock and roll. Paul Rogers is one of the greatest rock and roll singers of all time. In my opinion, I'm honored that he said yes to this.
He's good.
And thank you to his wife, Cynthia, for all diving in on this.
He's not just the lead singer of Bad Company, also the lead singer of Free. All right now. So he's got several hits.
For this kids and this community. The community's being
toured with Queen in the 2000s.
And just for both of you, this last question, Paul, I'll start with you. It's clear what the kids get out of this. They get to meet some rock stars. They get to sing music with rock stars. They get a behind-the-scenes look at the whole process. I'm wondering what you both get out of this specific project. Paul, I want to start with you. What it's like to be with the kids.
Well, it was absolutely a beautiful experience, actually, because there's such a purity about them and such a high energy that it was just remarkably beautiful.
It's a very yellow shirt.
I enjoyed it very much.
And Matt?
Same thing for me. I've had the gift of music. I've had an amazing career, and organically this started happening in my life. And I walk away with such a wonderful feeling. I'm so honored that people like Paul believe in what we're doing, and I'm just, I'm getting emotional right now thinking about it, because it's just, these kids live under the poverty line. A lot of them go home with a second lunch. This is, we think about Palm Springs, but out here, there's a lot of people that need help in the public school system, out in the desert, Coachella Valley. So it's a big thing for me. And I like I said, I'm getting emotional thinking about it because these kids take this memory on. It's lasting. So.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing you're doing. I mean, the first time I saw it, the song that you put out, it just a smile on my face, and I showed it to like 5 different people.
Paul Rogers has a cat. Show the cat.
Matt Sorum, Paul Rogers.
Show the cat.
Both. And Paul, again, congratulations.
Show the cat.
Into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and joining Matt there. I appreciate you guys taking the time.
Thanks so much.
Okay, that anchor sucked because he didn't tell Paul Rogers to show his cat. Chef Mario, what do you stream? Do you stream cooking? You're on stream. How'd you venture over to mine? Hey, I'll show a cat. He's being very needy tonight. I think he wants me to get off stream and give him some attention. He wants me to play some video games so he can lay in my lap and take him a nap. I mentioned earlier we did the Scott Steiner math.
But then you take my 75% chance of winning and then add 66 2/3%. I got 141 2/3 chance of winning.
Scotty weighing in on the 100 men versus a gorilla debate. Let's say you got 100 average men, no weapons, no training, just fear in their eyes and dad bods in their way. Then you got one full-grown silverback gorilla, 600 pounds of pure rage, muscle, and tree-ripping power. Now here comes the math. Out of those 100 men, maybe 25% don't even show up once they see the gorilla. That's 25 cowards eliminated immediately. Then you got a 33 1/3% of them trying to talk it out. They're done. Another 20% just stand there frozen, pissing their pants. Now you're left with about 21 guys, panicked, half committed, and getting launched like lawn darts. But what if Big Papa Pump's in the mix? You just tipped the freaking scale. Now it's not 100 men versus one gorilla. It's one gorilla versus the genetic freak. That spells disaster for that gorilla. And just imagine Big Papa Pump putting it in the Steiner recliner. Julie, have you seen Big Papa Pump? You think Scott Steiner couldn't take a gorilla?
You take your 33 1/3 chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 1/3 chance of winning.
You think that man couldn't have his way with a gorilla? He's not normal. He's a genetic freak.
But then you take my 75% chance of winning and then add 66 2/3%. I got 141 2/3 chance of winning.
And he's probably also going to come with a lead pipe, a tiger, and 3 freaky women. So I'm totally taking Scott Steiner. Now, here's the question. What happens when you put one gorilla up against a Robin Williams? One gorilla versus one Robin Williams.
Extraordinary. Laughter. Coco understands spoken English and uses over 1,000 signs to share her feelings and thoughts about daily events. Life, love, even death. It was awesome and unforgettable.
I'm going to adopt you.
Coco.
She had my sunglasses on. Turned away, and then she looked out the window, and she looked great. They actually looked very nice. should turn out the windows. It's like...
You chase. Okay, where should you guys all go? Into the kitchen or in? Tickle. Tickle. She wants you to tickle her. Yep, that would be good. Or in the thighs. Mm-hmm.
Tickle them thighs.
Tickle. Oh, yeah. You tickle. You tickle. You tickle. You like them.
So Scott Steiner will put a gorilla in a Steiner recliner. Robin Williams will tickle the gorilla.
Now you don't pinch. Sweetheart.
Go for the nipples. The gorilla's trying to give Robin a titty slap.
Picking
Yes, Robin is hairier than the gorilla. Stole his wallet.
She's got a handful of business.
Started rummaging through his shit too. Wow.
She just watched your movie. Maybe she knows you're funny. And that's it. Do you remember this?
Wonder what her favorite movie was. Was it Jumanji?
That's right.
Was that what she was holding up?
And I think she remembered you from the video. Where
Maybe,
you're very
she
funny.
saw, she saw that.
What's everyone's favorite Robin Williams movie? It's too hard to fucking pick.
Oh,
I think I'm partial to the Birdcage.
Good.
Hook.
Drink.
Excellent pick. He's not like the main character in Good Will Hunting. He's just kind of a. But it is an excellent movie. Excellent movie.
It's a blast.
A lot of people going Hook. I just saw Hook for the first time like a couple of years ago. I got hired to do a video about it on YouTube. So since I hadn't seen it, I watched it. Has anybody seen 1 Hour Photo?
She just watched your
Robin Williams can do horror or suspense.
And that's it. Do you remember this?
He's fucking excellent in it, Byronic, but you may not like. A lot of people don't like it because they don't like having that. Because he's so fucking good.
And I think she remembered you from the video. Where
Maybe,
you're very
she
funny.
she saw that. It was fun. She was having a good time.
But Robin Williams, just fucking amazing actor.
Oh, she wants a drink. Want your drink now? Good. Drink.
Good Morning Vietnam. Probably an inspiration for me getting into radio. Love him. He was one of my favorite actors.
She was fun.
Hands down. Mrs. Doubtfire. I've seen it too many times, but also like an excellent movie. Just perfect. There's not many bad Robin Williams movies. Even the bad movies like Popeye, he's good in. Cricks. It was a drive-by fruiting. What isn't it, Mrs. Doubtfire, where they said there's so much shit they cut? Like they could make another movie out of it because he just improv so much.
She's got a handful of business cards.
One of the best.
She just watched your movie. Maybe she knows you're funny.
All right, I
That's it. Do you remember?
have been skipping out. I've not seen Aladdin, Julie. I've never seen Aladdin. But I have mad props. I know the story and how Robin Williams got pissed off about Disney using him. And that's why it's fucking Homer doing the genie's voice.
Remembered you from the video.
Maybe,
You're very funny.
She saw that. It was fun.
I've been spotty about doing other shit. I'm going to be here for Request Night tomorrow night. Promise you. I will be here.
Good. Drink.
Yeah, and Aladdin 2 or Jafar or whatever the fucking movie's called. It's Homer. He does the genie. And does a great job. I mean, you're going to use another voice actor, you know, the voice of Homer. Because Robin Williams got pissed off that they used him for marketing and toys and shit like that. Go watch a YouTube video about it. I'm sure there's plenty of essays. That's probably how I found it out. I'll be here for Request Night tomorrow night.
Got a handful of business cards. She just watched your movie. Maybe she knows you're funny. And that's it. Do you remember this?
If you're watching on Twitch, we're going to head over to Igloo. You're right into Igloo. I'll be here for Request Night tomorrow night. I promise I won't leave you hanging.
I think she remembered you from the video.
Maybe,
Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before we hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night and Sunday night on the Troll Patrol live.
Want you to drink?